Hello. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I have plenty. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have plenty. Do they have? Does it have to? Does it have to be where it's like a clean, where there's like nothing on it, or right? Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Okay. Well, then I'll see you tomorrow. Love you too. All right, I'm back. My dad was just coming about. We're supposed to be go seeing this car show tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be in downtown, so we're gonna see a whole bunch of. It's an international car show, so we're gonna be seeing cars from all parts of the world. It's gonna be interesting.
Yep. All right. Today's topic is the 2018 recap. So I know you guys were nerdy. The you and Amari were talking about this on the previous team, I believe. That how 2018 seems to be the first Generation Z year in terms of top culture.
And it does seem that way because since the beginning, you heard about them being connected with Tide Pods. Of course, that was even though that was definitely blown out of proportion and all that. And then you had the Florida Parkland shooting that practically affected them. And then you also had the Texas high school shooting, which a lot of people don't seem to remember for some reason, even though it happened years after the Parkland one. But most social shootings practically affected them to the point where it. Well, I mean, when they had the March for Our Lives thing, that was before the Texas shooting. But you know what I mean. That because of that shooting in Parkland, it forced them to or meant to or prepared them to have the March for Our Lives movement regarding all about the guns and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd say the March for Our Lives movement was really it seems to be the first event where Generation Z is really has a voice. I'd say.
And not only were they there, but they also had like I think their parents were there, their teachers, another faculty, and some other people.
Well, I think it's also kind of worth noting that this is the year for the first time that we have people born in 2000 who are now legal adults.
Yep.
And
Yeah, this is also what I was bringing up on a. I brought this up on Reddit with the Tyrannosaurus Rex because both of us tend to follow the 18-year theory for generations, where the millennials would be 82 to 99.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So we were discussing. I don't think he totally agrees with this about a 2018 being for a Generation Z as a 2000 was for the millennials.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have a hard time saying that someone born in 2000 isn't sort of in the same generation as someone born in the mid late 90s, but I won't go into that too much. But
Yeah.
however, I think that regardless, that now, say you have people, say you have like my age, born 94, turning 24, and then you have like 16-year-olds born in like 2002, that I think that you take kind of more of that span of birth years, that you're going to have more of the people who are the young adults, I'll call it, who they don't, they you really have like the digital natives who we grew up on computers. We pretty much weren't doing a lot or can even remember sometimes before like 9/11, all that stuff. And I think a lot of it is there's kind of the, I guess, people who were alive or can remember really the analog world is fading. And now as you see that new kind of 90s on up kind of generation, whatever we want to call it, really start becoming, part of the adult equation, that it's definitely starting to change a lot.
Yeah. Not only that, but Generation Z is seemingly the first generation that really grew up when liberalism was the status quo.
Yeah, because say from my perspective, that I can remember probably the Bush, W. Bush, as really the first president, where I don't really remember a lot of the Clinton administration. Obviously, I remember stuff from then, but I wasn't really familiar with politics at 6 years old. So
Yeah.
So that's kind of what my perspective of politics starts out as I could even say the later years. I could say second term GW, and then turning to the Obama administration. Once I was 14, I was getting interested in politics at that time, and I think that you have people who are a little bit older that haven't really recognized that now you have this big cohort of voters who that is their perspective on politics, if that makes any sense.
Yep. They're also seem to be the first generation that seem to be growing up, particularly in their later years for the older ones, where being gay is being seen as a norm.
Oh yeah, because and I can even say that just in my lifetime, that I had when I was in elementary school, the art teacher's gay. He's still an art teacher in the district, and he had a rainbow flag. And I remember I was the one who told the kids what it meant and knew what it meant, and then everyone just went, oh, okay, and it was okay even for a teacher to have a flag up and have it be known to elementary school students that he was gay. And I can't even imagine, even in the 90s, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah. I remember it. I think this probably still goes on now, where in middle school, the word "gay" is thrown around as a meaningless insult.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure
I'll admit, I even threw that word around.
I mean, we probably all have. I'm gonna be honest. You're 12, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. And you just stop eventually.
At that time, like you said, a lot of people were throwing it as a slur and not realizing that it was a word meant to either be happy or to be homosexual and all that. But like you said, effectively young people. I mean, I may have maybe used it maybe a few times back then, but not as much compared to some other people.
Yeah, some people they hold it around a lot, definitely.
But I don't hear it now. When people, it's not just when people grew up, but even among my cousins who were in high school throughout this decade, I don't even hear from them either as much.
I think by the time I started high school, and that kind of correlates with the Obama administration. That stuff really stopped. Also with retard or retarded. Definitely when I was in high school, that went way down.
Yeah, I stopped hearing that word as well throughout my high school years and even throughout the Obama administration. I really don't hear that much anymore, aside from a few friends and somebody in my family, but that's about it.
Yeah. So I think this is all going to go on I think this is all going to impact the future when more of them become of legal age and enter the adult.
Yeah, and as of right now, there's already some of them being impacted by the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Not just by what he's doing, but what he said throughout the campaign, like the whole build a wall, that kind of stuff, or that Make America Great Again, that kind of BS, that kind of There's a lot of people right now in high school that are growing up all over that, and they're pretty much being influenced all by that. And
yeah.
Make sure if there's a chance that they all might vote for him in the 2020 election if he does run again.
I think he'll get some sizable support with the white males in Generation Z, like he does with pretty much white males of every age group. But I don't think he's going to do very well with the other members. I keep hearing it, and I believe this is a complete bullshit about Generation Z being quote unquote more conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, you may have some, and I wouldn't even call it Generation Z. I would just call it people even like under 30 or whatever, that because they've had maybe political correctness and all of that kind of stuff pushed on them so much that it therefore causes them to retaliate and be against it. But I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Like it's really like that many people.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Even though I've noticed it's gotten very bad on the YouTube comment section. You see them pretty much everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah,
even on gaming videos, because I see that a lot.
Yeah, like I mean, I think it's there, but I don't think that it's enough to say that an age group as a whole is more conservative. I do think that it's kind of, I mean, there may be some general feelings, and the funny thing is, it's one of those things that if you start talking about it to people, like say I'll use like political correctness, and people feel comfortable enough sharing, like a lot of people will start saying stuff like, oh, I hate having to say this, I hate having to censor myself and this or that. So it's definitely out there, but I think that in general people have gotten used to certain things enough that say like gay marriage as an example. Even people that I know that are generally very conservative, they just like don't care anymore. Like
Yeah.
they're just used to it. So they may still, in terms of future things, remain conservative, but I think a lot of the things that maybe were a big deal last decade, they're just over it now.
Yeah. One thing I also noticed from the far right is they like to fearmonger a lot,
Yeah.
especially about uh, like they especially love to fearmonger about Islam.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a hot. Which I don't know. To me, like that I remember that being a big thing when I was again like in elementary school, like 2003 or 2004. And then I think it kind of faded in like the Obama years. And now suddenly it's back. And I'm almost surprised that it's back because I'm like I thought we were like over this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I wonder if it's gonna stick around or if it's gonna eventually go away.
I don't know. I think it's one of those things that's gonna go away. Like I remember around probably before the big ISIS thing, probably late 2000s, early 10s era, that like nobody talked about Islam. At least like not, it wasn't like a hot button topic, you know.
Yeah.
And now like it's back, and I think it's just it's gonna be like the new Russians. Like it's gonna wax and wane.
Well, speaking of Russians, that's what the left is fear mongering about,
Yeah.
as
So,
well as some neocons.
yeah, the Russians are back.
Like I wonder what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah, I don't know because that's one of those things that like I try not to pay attention to because it kind of annoys me. But I mean, I don't really know where that's gonna go, to be honest. I have talked to some people that are just in Russia or in Europe or whatever, that they think that the Russian government's going to break off, or something is gonna, that their government isn't even very stable. So I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah. Well, they're getting pounded with the sanctions.
Yeah, that they're just like, someone's concerned that they're going back to having a czar or something crazy. So I don't know. I don't think that, even though obviously it's a big country, they have a lot of military power, I don't really think that it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to underplay it, but like really think it's as big of a deal as these people want to make it, I guess. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't really think they're stable enough, honestly.
So, Tim.
Yeah.
So, how's the 2018 been for you?
It's been all right. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody hated 2017. Like I would see or 2016 even. Like I would constantly see these memes like in December or so about how awful the year was. I hadn't even like seen any for 2018.
Yeah, I mean the
Like I
biggest
thought
reason
it
for
was
it.
15.
I mean the biggest reason for 2016 was
The
Trump.
election. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I kind of expected it, but I almost feel like last year was like, let's repeat it, let's do it again. 2017 was terrible, and like maybe this year everyone got tired of it. Like it gets a little lame when you do it every single year, unless like you truly had like a cruddy year.
hey Rainbow,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, fine. We're talking about 2018, recapping the year.
So what did I miss?
Well, we
Nothing.
talked. Oh, we talked about how 2018 was. It seems to be the first year where Generation Z has the biggest pop cultural impact. Where pop culture seems to be more Z.
Can we go through it month by month?
Sh-
Like from January to now? I think that's how we should do it.
If you want, I can't remember that stuff anymore.
Well, it depends on
Not
what.
being in school,
yeah.
remember anything? I get used to remember everything that happened like each month, and I don't anymore.
I could try.
In January this year, we had my great grandmother's funeral.
Let's.
Yeah.
Was that
That's
when she
sad.
died?
But what,
Or...
And that's,
I thought we were talking like pop culturally.
Yeah.
Um.
Because he's the captain, everyone knows all about it.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're fucking not, bitch. Shut the fuck up with your white ass, bitch ass, vanilla ice cream ass. Like, just shut up. Okay, back on topic. So, okay, January, I don't remember what happened. February, we had the Parkland shooting, which was sad. March, March for Our Lives. I remember. That's easy to remember.
Oh.
I didn't even realize that was in March.
Oh wait, no. January 2018 had the Women's March, didn't it?
oh yes, it did. Yeah.
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 I think
Yeah.
he's doing that. I don't know.
I also remember it was early 2018 when this annoying, terrible song seemed to be getting popular. "Meant to Be" by Florida Georgia Line and what's
Oh
her
my
name?
god, I hate that song. It keeps playing.
I don't remember how that sounds like.
It's like I don't know. It keeps playing on some ad.
January also introduced Tide Pods
yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, the Tide Pod Challenge.
That was still 2018. Why did I think that was last year?
I mean, it's technically very close to late in 2017. I guess that's why.
Okay. I don't know. It feels like forever ago to me. I don't know why. It probably isn't, but it just probably because I've heard so much about it. I guess.
This year went by so fucking quick. I remember like yesterday I was celebrating 2018 coming in. Now we're almost finished with this decade, and I'm like, whoa, bro.
Oh, no.
Time went by way too fast. Like, it's gonna be 2020 before we even know it.
Right.
But I think this decade went slower for you, Rainbow, than it did for the rest of us. Probably because you were a bit younger. Yeah.
No, but this year went by so fast, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I noticed like once I hit like high school, it started just going by so fast. It was like ridiculous.
Yeah. Same thing. But like when I first did my first day of high school, it was like I was kind of like lost, and then after I got used to it, it was like all right, good. And then all of a sudden, the first year went so fast. Summers were kind of slow. Then the next year would start. It would go so quickly. Summers would start being slow again. Then the next year would come. It would go fast, and then summer would come in, be slow again, and then the last year would come, and then boom, fast. Graduation gone. It's like those 4 years went so fast. And then the people that attended college right after that, now their 4 years is already finished, and they've been out for like 3 or 4 or 5 years now. It's just like amazing.
Oh, I know.
What's so shocking about it as well is that right now I have friends that are having their 10th high school, and it's like, oh, amazing. Like where did those 10 years go? It's like, oh my goodness. Like you would not ever think that you would be approaching that, and now people are. There's like friends that just had their like this past year. And I got some friends who's having theirs like next year. And then sooner or later, Rainbow and Tim will be out of high school.
Wait, what'd you say, Nerdy?
Well, I'm saying that sooner or later, Rainbow and Tim's gonna be out of high school.
Yeah, that's gonna be. It's gonna be shocking to me that.
I made a thread called "What was the best month for you in 2018?" What's the best month for you guys this year? Because mine's is July.
Yeah, probably summer.
Yeah.
That's,
I don't
I'd
know.
also go with
It hasn't really
July.
been a great year
Fun.
for me.
Yeah.
Summer's just the best regardless for me usually.
Yeah. They did have a good time earlier this year when we did that at Rainbow. Remember this top crop tops for guys thread?
Yes. Yes, I will never forget that. Never.
I roasted Slowpoke pretty good. Can't believe that thread's already erased, but
Damn. Yeah. That was 8 months ago. Jesus Christmas.
Really?
yeah, 6 months. I remember Nerdy's you're coming in and saying you guys wrecked this thread.
Right.
you sure did. You wrecked it like
The worst month I would say for me was February. Yeah, I'd probably say February.
For me, it'd be September. Or actually,
Oh, what
October.
happened?
Actually, it'd be October.
Oh, what happened?
Alright, I
going-
gotta go in a minute, but I might be back. I'm not sure.
All right.
Okay. What were you saying?
Well, mainly because I went through a big spiritual crisis that in October.
A big what?
Spiritual crisis in October of this year.
What's that?
Hello.
Hey, Infinity.
Hey.
What was the
Oh,
spiritual
God.
crisis? Because I kind of
My mom is finally done for the day. I thought she was going to be done like an hour ago, but she always takes longer than she says. I mean, I love her, but she is such a hands-on kind of manager that it can be a bit exhausting having her near you for just a really extended period of time. So, and it's just been a busy week in general.
So, how have you been?
Pretty well.
I got a guinea pig.
You got a guinea pig?
Yes.
I thought you already got one. Did the other one die?
No, that was a hamster.
Oh.
Are they getting along?
What?
Are they getting along?
Who's they?
The hamster and the guinea pig?
My hamster died.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, my hamster died in November.
From what?
I don't know. I guess maybe a stroke because he was like running around in circles like constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, this is unfortunately true with these smaller animals. Is their lifespan tends to be a lot short.
Like only like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
If you only had it for like 6 months.
5 actually.
Oh, that's still a short time for a hamster.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want an animal that could live forever, you have to get like a jellyfish. I mean, I heard there's some jellyfish that have been around since the early days of Earth. They're still alive.
Okay. Who would want a jellyfish as a pet? Like white people culture right there.
White people don't use jellyfish.
What?
White people don't use jellyfish.
Because we
I've never
don't.
met somebody who owned a pet jellyfish.
Yeah.
That's definitely white people culture right there.
No, it's kinky people culture. That's what they use.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
How you had the
She took it serious. Oh wow, man.
Wait, what are you saying, Dirty?
I was saying for Rainbow, how long do you have the guinea pig?
He asked how long he had that guinea pig.
A week. She's a month old.
So, Infinity. So you were on a Mario stream yesterday.
Hang on.
All right.
I wasn't.
I thought I saw you at Rainbow in that stream.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm back. I was forced to restart my internet browser, of course, because I have to do that like every few days. Just hate having to do that. It just whatever. You still there? I can't hear
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I was on that stream, but only I kind of came late, and I left early because I was just I don't know. It just seemed to be winding down, and I didn't want to get into any drama.
So, yes, we were talking about So you were on Mario stream yesterday.
Yeah, not much of it though.
Oh,
What
were
did
you guys talking about?
talk about? I missed out.
Did you guys talk about how 2018 seems to be the first year where Generation Z has the biggest pop cultural impact?
I really have no idea. I still basically feel like the millennials are dictating the direction of popular culture. I don't feel like Gen Z is totally overtaken yet. I mean, yeah, there are certain cultural things and maybe are popular with Gen Z, but it just doesn't feel like the Gen Z identity is fully matured yet.
Yeah, I could see that.
Have you guys watched YouTube Rewind of 2018? It sounded
Yeah,
like they were trying so
people
hard to
hated
appeal
that.
to like the younger generation, and it was just so cringy.
It was like relying on already established celebrities who got famous outside of YouTube, like Will Smith.
And lots of unknown YouTubers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the most subscribed YouTube channel, PewDiePie, is like, I mean, it's hard to fully support him when he's like pro-Nazi.
How would you say 2018 has been for you, since you're a big fan of music? How would you say it's been for that?
For American music, it was absolute crap.
Yeah,
but
I
it was
agree.
way better in other countries.
Yeah, it seemed like the most popular. I don't think this was the most popular song, but it got really sickening really quickly. Was Florida Georgia Line's "Meant to Be"?
I hated that song more and more as the year went on. Like at the start of the year when it was still new, I kind of looked at it, I thought, oh, this is kind of an interesting idea, having Florida Georgia Line actually have a dialogue with a female pop star, so maybe it's putting their kind of sleazy lyrics into more of a clever perspective. But as the year kind of went on, I just started to realize that it really wasn't anything that special. The only reason it became such a big hit was because of how just safe and broadly marketable it was. And
Yeah.
I basically feel like it turned into just the representation of how shallow and irrelevant the pop charts are now, because it's just straining as much as possible to get hits that people listen to.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed, especially later in the mid to late part of this decade, is that a lot of the sound systems tend to be very safe. While in the early part of this decade, there was more party influence, seemingly, with all the electropop and dubstep.
I mean, the first half of this year had a little more variety than the second half, but I mean, I don't know, I just feel. I mean, I was really, really let down because at the start of this year, I thought trap music might finally be starting its decline, but then it just became more popular than ever, and not the good kind. Instead, it's the stuff that's represented by like the worst kinds of people possible, like 6ix9ine, and I mean Drake is not as bad, but he clearly is way overexposed and barely is even trying anymore. Like he's never gonna be as good as like Take Care or Find Your Love Again or Best I Ever Had. Like he just.
What's your favorite song of the year? Mine's is probably Sicko Mode, and Mo. I don't know how to say this. Mo Bamba. Yeah, that song. I love that song.
I would, for me, it would probably be No Tears Left to Cry by Ariana Grande. I mean, I voted for that Elle King song, that Good Thing Gone, in the Poppedia 2018 awards thing, but I mean, I think listening back to No Tears Left to Cry again, I just feel like that it just appeals way more to me. I like the message it has. I like the composition. I think it's produced really effectively. Yeah. So I would say No Tears. That was my favorite.
Mine would probably be a tie between Sicko Mode and Mo Bamba. Can't decide.
Who's Mo Bamba by?
It's by Shaq West. So it's like, I got hoes calling young nigga phone. Does that sound familiar?
I should have known. My favorite song for this year, I have no clue right now because there's actually a lot of contenders. But I will say, man, it's hard to pick number one for me because, like I said, I have a hard time picking number one for every year. But the contenders are for this year would be Pray For Me by Kendrick and The Weeknd. Then you have, what else? There's Love Lies by Khalid and Normani.
Yeah.
And then there's a few others. Oh, there is this song by Miguel and J. Cole called Chill. And it's
There's
like
a good song by Jake Paul, really?
No, J. Cole.
Oh, okay. I feel a little better now.
No, yeah, it's by Miguel and J. Cole, and it's called Chill. That's like one of my favorite songs of this year. And then there's another one by I'm trying to remember the name. It's just not coming to me because there's like I said, there's a few songs on my mind that I liked out of the year. Yeah, it's not coming to me right now, but there was like 4 or 5 songs that I could see being the contender of my favorite this year.
Yeah.
But just like Infinity, I did like Ariana Grande's new song back in April, No Tears Left to Cry, and then the other two that she had. There was one,
and
there was
Thank You Next.
Yeah, there was Thank You Next that I heard like clips of, but not the whole song. And then there's like one other song by her that I don't remember hearing for some reason.
Well, there was God Is a Woman.
Oh yeah, I heard that one too. And then she had like another song after that. So she had 4 songs throughout the year, but there was like those are like the 3 I remember. No Tears Left to Cry, God is a Woman, and Thank You Next, and that's about it. There was like one other, but it started with a B, but I don't remember that one.
I started following music way.
Was it called
last-
Breathing?
Yeah.
Breathing, yes, it was Breathing. There you go.
Yeah,
That was the one That was the one I didn't. That was the one I didn't hear at all. But the other three I did.
I wasn't listening to nearly as much pop music like beginning around the middle of the year because that's when I started listening to Eurobeat again, and I feel like the timing worked out for me because the quality of the pop charts was slumping again. So I don't know.
How's your project going, Infinity?
What?
Your project? How's your project going?
Oh, I mean, it's going all right. I still need more of a breakthrough. I mean, I need to find the right people to really show it to because I don't feel like I can I just don't feel confident I can turn just anybody on to my type of interest because I mean it isn't just Eurobeat that I can't turn anybody on to. I can't turn anybody on to watching Todd in the Shadows either.
Was that the song? Was that the song you sent to me a week ago?
Well, Todd in the Shadows is a YouTube series I like watching, but everybody else just watches their network shows on like Netflix and all.
Oh,
they don't like they don't like watching YouTube commentator series like I do.
I can't. Yeah, I don't think I can't think of anybody that watches like YouTube TV. Maybe except for my mom, but that's because she's gotten to YouTube for the last few years, where she wasn't really on that site as much before. I've noticed that about her. Like she's like a TV watcher. She watches anything on it. Whether it's YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, you name it. She watches everything.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything about my taste and everything has just been ridiculously niche since 2004, like, and onwards without fail. Like ever since my childhood ended, the things that I've been into most are things that absolutely nobody else in person is likely to really be into the same way.
I don't blame you for your taste because, like you said, the music that was mainstream back in the mid 2000s was kind of awful. Like you had all the ringtone, you had like all the ringtone rap, like Laffy Taffy, and of course that was definitely awful. No doubt about that.
But it coincided with me getting into more like Eurobeat, Eurodance type of music as well. And I think because I got into that music, it just fueled my hate for the ringtone rap craze even more.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I haven't found one person that actually liked the ringtone rap days. I mean, it was good for its time, but yeah, it definitely didn't age well for sure.
But also, when I stopped watching Cartoon Network, I didn't really start watching anything else. I instead just devoted more of my free time to playing Dance Dance Revolution.
Wait, is those games still being made?
What is this song that keeps playing? It's really annoying.
It's not coming from me.
It's not coming from me.
Yeah, who's playing this song?
It wasn't me. Was it you? Sure, it wasn't you, Rainbow?
No.
I hear a dog now.
Oh, that's my dog.
Oh.
The dog is mine.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, Infinity, is the Dance Dance Revolution game still being made these days, or did they stop doing
Technically, it is still being made. It's just it isn't really mainstream at all anymore.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course it is. Because I remember I went to a friend's house one day, and he actually had a few of those games. For the PS4, and I think he had one for the PS2, and we would actually play it from time to time, and that when it was still popular. And then some other time, my sister, I think she may have got one of those games as well, and we were also kind of playing it, but I haven't played those games in like almost a decade, I believe.
Yeah. But, I mean, big part of why I like Dance Dance Revolution so much is because I liked the type of music that was featured on the game, which was more melodious, more up-tempo, synthier. It just appealed to me a lot more than the slow, minimalist, emptily edgy stuff that I was listening to otherwise on the radio.
I don't know if I asked.
But I mean, I'm just completely alone in my taste in this type of thing, except for other online dwellers like myself who I might find on like internet forums. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if I asked you this in the previous stream, but were you ever into a karaoke revolution?
no, I never ended up playing that.
It's coming from you, Rainbow.
I hit the top. Hey, this a rolling, not a stop. Watch shit don't never stop.
Come on, Rainbow, admit it.
No.
It's coming from you. I know.
I mean, I definitely know it's you because you're playing Kendrick.
I
Yeah,
was playing Drake, but I
Yeah,
don't know what
you're playing Drake and Kendrick.
And you just admitted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, so what'd you say about karaoke revolution?
I mean, back when the karaoke revolution games were being released, I wasn't into singing yet. I'm more into singing now, but if I do karaoke, I just go to karaoke bars.
What about the Just Dance? What about the Just Dance games? Did you ever play any of those?
No, I think I grew up specifically attached to Dance Dance Revolution.
Freezing cold.
Okay, because during the times that my family had the Wii, my mother actually got one of those games, and they were actually like dancing to them, but it seemed like they were only dancing for a short time, and that was it. And it's like they didn't even play them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's her.
Did she leave?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She'll be back. I can see her. She'll be back.
I think you kissed her. It's like, I don't know.
But yeah, Infinity, like I said before, I definitely don't blame you for what kind of taste you have. Whether it's music, video games, and all that, because these almost everything these days is like not the same how it used to be. I mean, it would be nice to hear hear about a lot of good games and all that, but for some reason there hasn't really been that many new franchises like I thought it would be. I mean, there's a few good ones out there, but not so much. And then on top,
I barely even know about how the video game industry works now because I lost interest in it a long time ago. I was a big gamer when I was a kid, but now I just have zero interest.
And then what I've noticed is that most of the games of today, almost all the graphics, if you look at how they look graphically, it's almost like they're all like in dark mode or whatever. Like almost all the skies are like dark. It's like
everything just has to be dark, gritty, and edgy because that's the only definition of maturity that is accepted by Americans.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually as bad as it was earlier this decade. I've been seeing a bit more of these like kiddie games, especially with the popularity of the Nintendo Switch recently.
Yeah,
I guess, but I mean, it's just
it just doesn't make any sense because even just a decade ago, despite people not hating on the games then, there was actually a lot of variety, not just in the genres, but how the graphics looked and everything. It's just like there was some actually games that had like upbeat graphics and colors and but I don't see that at all in some of today's games.
No.
I mean, you might be able to find all that in indie games, but mainstream ones not so much, except for like a few.
Yeah. By the way,
sorry. And then if you look at the movies, don't get me wrong, you guys. There are a lot of good movies out there these days, and I have seen some of them. But what's the problem with them is how many reboots and sequels are there, and not only that, but almost everything got to be like just like video games. Everything got to be like dark and gritty. Like I don't get it.
Everything has to be dark and gritty.
Everything from video games to music to movies.
If it isn't,
oh
then
my
that
goodness.
apparently means you're childish and immature. It's just a mindset that I cannot tolerate at all, because my definition of maturity is very different from what the American mainstream accepts.
Well, I really hope this changes in the next few years, because even in the 2000s, I don't remember seeing this ever seeing it like this. Like, I mean,
Not
yeah,
to
there
this
were.
degree. It was a little overly dark and gritty though, because of the post 9/11 mentality.
Right.
I mean, it's just there's just less substance to everything right now.
Yeah, because out of all the genres I would hear back in the 2000s, all the songs I mean, like you said, there were a few dark and gritty songs at the time, but you also had just as many party songs that people can just bounce to. And
there was diversity. There was diversity back then.
I know, and today, today, I don't see it at all. Even among hip hop, I don't see it.
Yeah. By the way, one question I was about to ask: how would you compare it? How would you say the difference between 2018 and 2011 compares to the difference between 2008 and 2001?
Well, I mean, in my own person, I mean, I guess, honestly, I think 2018 does seem pretty different from 2011. Technologically, the gap is smaller than the gap between 2001 and 2008, but in other respects, I think that 2018 is very, very different from 2011. Like, I think the fashion is extremely different. Like, in 2011, it was still more 2000s leftovers, like the bright colored t-shirts, and you didn't have everybody wearing the thick rimmed glasses and side butts. The fade tops were not really a thing yet. Thrift shop style clothes were still not totally mainstream. And I mean, you still had some people with Blackberries, but also Spotify wasn't really popular yet in 2011.
Nor was Pandora, and even neither was Netflix, because I actually had the app back in 20. I had the app back in 2010.
Netflix was starting to get popular. I think it was on its way up. They had been selling streaming movies for a few years.
It was.
Blockbuster still existed, and Netflix original series, most importantly, did not exist yet. Those wouldn't be introduced until 2013. And I feel like original stream shows, I think those revolutionized the entertainment industry. Once people would exclusively visit places like Netflix or Amazon Prime Video to watch their favorite shows. And it was during only then that the repulsive term binge watching was coined.
Right.
Or at least caught on.
And
before,
then between 20
say marathon, which I prefer a million times over, and I really dislike the binge watch term because it makes watching a lot of television sound unhealthy, whereas marathon makes it sound productive.
Oh, sure does. I would definitely prefer the term marathon. Yeah. I was also gonna add in, but between 2011 and 18 is how much some new culture has appeared, like the selfie culture and even the emoji culture. Because back in 2011,
you had the selfie culture in 2011, as I remember.
I mean, it kind of was there, but
wasn't as overbearing. Like Instagram and Snapchat weren't quite as huge yet. I think 2011 was still like dominated by Facebook, I think.
Yeah, it was, because Because
as
almost
well.
everybody that I knew had a Facebook, but nobody at that time was ever talking about like Instagrams or Twitters or Snapchats and that kind of stuff.
Twitter was pretty popular by then. Wasn't quite as ubiquitous as it
Right.
was later, but it was definitely popular by 2011.
I
Right.
think Instagram and Snapchat were starting in 2011, but it just was. The other one that was huge in 2011 was Words with Friends. I don't know why. But
Oh yeah,
everyone,
Words with
like,
Friends.
chatted.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's like really when it started, because that's really when everybody started getting iPhones. It's 2011, and I would say by the time I was like graduating from high school in 2012, that people were already starting their transition off of Facebook. So it's like around then.
I would have to say it depends because I have a lot of friends that still go on Facebook to this day,
Well, yeah, it's
and
still
they had
there.
graduated. But I think there's actually quite a few reasons why a lot of people end up transitioning away from Facebook because, and it wasn't just the politics, of course. I mean, that's one thing, but it wasn't the only thing. Another thing that also made people want to get off of there is also the timeline change where it went from being
Yeah,
to a
that's
wall
when it
to like a
was, too.
timeline.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was 2011, 2012 that transition, and everyone was just up in arms about it.
Yeah, because I remember some of my friends complaining that they did not like the timeline thing.
Yeah, one thing I noticed today with a lot of younger people, I know there's a lot of younger people that do have a Facebook, but they only use it to communicate with the older members of their family.
Well, that's what happened on it. Is like
Yeah.
you couldn't be candid on Facebook anymore because by getting into around that time, that's when all of the older relatives and whatnot all started joining. And
Yeah.
it just wasn't like the kids site anymore. Like you didn't necessarily like delete it, but it was just you weren't gonna be posting your party pictures on there anymore.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot because because the friends that I had that signed up back in like the late 2000s that I saw pictures of, like I've seen like old pictures of them where they were like in parties and that kind of stuff. But over the years I stopped seeing. I mean, I'll see pictures of them going to parties like in Vegas, or they're having like pool parties with friends, and like I still see that sometimes. But
Very selective is what it is.
yeah, it's like selective too because I don't see everything anymore like that like before. So.
Yeah, and like I think also like back in like 2010-ish, people they would go post on Facebook like this big glut of photos. Like they go on a vacation, you would get like 3 photo albums full. And people just like they're more now like they're posting like a good picture. And if they just have a ton of like random stuff, it's usually going on like a story, like on Snapchat or on Insta.
Yeah, I don't see that anymore either. Even just looking at because I've seen old pictures from like 2009, 10, and there were a lot of random photos, but for the past several years, I don't see that. I haven't seen that as much.
Yeah, and like I think also because of the timeline thing that back before timeline on Facebook, like once stuff was hidden, like it was hard to find. I mean, and that's when everyone started calling it, like Facebook creeping. Like you had to like kind of dig and go far back and find that old stuff. Where now, like, okay, you go on timeline, you click 2010, and it can bring you like right back to someone's post in 2010. And so many people that like I've talked about it, they're like, oh, like it's so embarrassing. Here's like what I wrote when I was 14, and like everyone can look at it. And I think that's also just a big thing that now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 10 years. I made my Facebook 10 years ago now, and I've since kind of deactivated it. But if I went on it, like this is like a representation of stupid stuff I did on the internet 10 years ago, and it's just like I don't really want anybody to see that.
Yeah, I feel you because you know how every day you'll get like a post that you made like years ago,
Yeah,
and there's like there's like this memory thing where they'll show you what you made. I mean, there was a lot of stupid posts that I made then, but there was a lot of like smart posts that I made as well, and where people were like agreeing with me, and I'd be sharing like the smart stuff though, not all the stupid stuff.
Right. Yeah, like my cousin was complaining about that to me like recently. She was just like, "How come you didn't tell me how to spell? How come you didn't tell me I was so bad at spelling?" And I'm like, "Sorry." Plus, like, also another thing, too, it's, like, people that you used to be friends with, or if it's people that, like, you broke up with or something.
Oh man, yeah.
See everything that's old, and you're like, really? Like, it's hard to, like, go in and, like, manually delete all of that stuff. When people just take it off or make a new one, or, like, I think on mine I made, like, almost everything, like, private when I was still using it. Like, any old photo albums, like, private.
Yeah, I feel you.
But yeah, I think that's like kind of contributed to the people using Snapchat or even just like the stories like on Instagram is that you can bury stuff or it's gone or whatever.
Right.
By the way, Al, did you ever have a MySpace account?
I never did.
I
No, that's
did,
like
but I
little-
barely used it.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit too young for MySpace, I think.
I wouldn't say you were that young then, because it was actually still being used up until 2010 or so.
Well,
Yeah.
when it was big, I was like in sixth grade. I remember it was like 2006, and like a couple kids had one. I remember like some of like the really like cool, popular, they thought kids had one, but like it wasn't like just like regular kids really didn't have one. And then by the time maybe I think they still used it in seventh grade, but like it wasn't as cool anymore. And then I'd say by 2008, it was kind of like it kind of was like not cool to have a MySpace. So.
Oh, that's weird. Because I mean, I understand Facebook would eventually take over, but I wouldn't be surprising if people still had a MySpace by that point. Now, and I mentioned this yesterday on the other stream, but one thing I noticed about both MySpace and Facebook is that MySpace, despite it being geared towards more like teenagers and all that, it actually had a lot of customization compared to Facebook. I've like literally like
Yeah.
noticed that. Like
Yeah,
there's so much you can do that you can't even do on Facebook. Like you can actually code stuff. You can like put like personalization in your pictures, your profile, all that. You can never even do that on Facebook, not one time, and it was just weird.
Yeah, because like the reason why I would go on MySpace usually was I would look at like my uncle's page, and he owned a bar at that time, so he would have like his personal page, but he had his whole page for like his bar, and it was instead of his website it was a MySpace page for what people do now with Facebook. But I mean, it definitely was a lot that like I'm sorry, I hate when businesses only have a Facebook for their website because if you're not signed into Facebook, it is so hard to look at anything from it. And I'm like, I don't want to use Facebook anymore. I'm not going to sign into Facebook to look at this. You know what I mean? And like back when because there was so much customization on MySpace, that they could actually put together like a pretty good like website just by having a MySpace.
Yeah, and then on top of that, a person was actually able to put a song on their profile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On Facebook, since its inception, you couldn't even do any. It's like I don't understand why they never did any of that like they did for MySpace. I mean, of course, both sides was made by two different people, but Mark should have definitely took some inspiration from Tom from MySpace and did something with it, but he never did.
Do you guys remember on old Facebook before Timeline that you'd have your profile picture and there was like a little box below it? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think I do.
This little text box, and yeah, that would be like where everybody instead they would write like song lyrics since you can't post a song. Like that's at least like what all my friends did. We always just like wrote song lyrics. I do kind of miss that about like old Facebook is that people would just like post random song lyrics about like you'd have no idea what they're talking about. You have to go Google it.
And what's also other features about old Facebook that a lot of people I'm trying to think if they're forgetting maybe they might not remember is that how people used to always play Farmville.
Yeah, I love.
Oh yeah, Farmville.
And then not only that, another feature was that how people were able to like, and then people were always like poking each other because during the pre-timeline Facebook, I would always get like pokes from people, but since the timeline changed, I haven't really got that as many.
Do you remember all the fan pages? And it was like you would join random groups and they had fan pages, and then people were all up in arms probably in 2011-ish. They changed them all to like pages instead.
Yeah.
I think I do remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then eventually, like, it would be like you follow their page, like, say, it would be kind of comparable to following, like, a celebrity or a sports team page, and they became their own pages like that. So some of them would start posting, like, the spam, basically, all of the time. So then all those, like, 500 things that you liked because you thought were funny in 2010, that now you got all these updates from constantly, and you had to manually go delete all of them. And that's, like, one of the reasons also why I got off Facebook. It was, like, because I liked so freaking many of those, and it was so annoying.
One other feature I noticed about old Facebook is that And then a lot of people used to actually do notes and have like a surveys and all that. I haven't seen that in like several years.
Yeah, I'm more likely to see surveys like on Instagram or something. Like someone will
Yeah.
like the comments, they'll go write the answers to the survey. But
Yeah, because
that was a big thing for a while. You'd always copy and paste it and like.
Yeah, because I would see on some profiles, on some of my friends' profiles, where they would have like 100, 25, 50, or 100 things about me. But this was all like years ago. Like it was like all right before the timeline changed.
Yeah, no, this was all like 2009 through 2011, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
It's
like,
like-
it used to be, in my opinion, Facebook used to be way more active, and they would obviously disagree with me with the changes they've made, but I just think that you used to be able to like do more on it.
Yeah, because because I have like because there's a lot of people that I know that ended up not even using Facebook anymore, and now they're either on Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat,
Yeah,
or they
that's
use
like me.
or they just like text their friends and all that. But whenever they're on Facebook, it's usually either they're posting like pictures or of whatever they did, or sometimes they'll talk to like their other friends and family. And as we're all getting older, I got friends now who have not only have gotten married, but they're having children now, and they're posting pictures of their babies. So I've been seeing that for the last 6 years or so. Well,
Yeah.
maybe not 6 years, but maybe like the last few, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's become more like an address book. Like, if you want to be able to contact these random people or family members, it's like it's
Yeah.
but otherwise, it's not really like this kind of like fun, goofy stuff the way that it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have a friend on Facebook who shares goofy stuff all the time. He shares a lot of sexual weird stuff. I'm sure you guys probably had that friend.
Yeah.
I think I might have.
I was the friend who did not take it seriously, like at all, and I used to like start like fake fights, and usually it was like with people who were like on it, just so like so other people would like comment on it and just like think like we were like really weird. But we did like one friend that I would do this with. We would go on pages. This was probably more like 2012 maybe. We go on pages like Walmart and pages like that. And just go like write like random like questions and stuff, and make like the corporate answer our questions and just troll the whole thing.
Well, they nerdy it.
Yeah.
Do you have have you had a YouTube account back in like 2009 or so?
No, I never did. I mean, I was actually gonna eventually sign up for one, but at the time I really did not have an email like that then, so I never signed up for one. But I did always use the site when it was just starting out, and then eventually how they got popular.
Yeah,
okay, I used to get like really internet bullied on YouTube, and it sounds like the stupidest thing to tell people now. But like it's like when Facebook was just kind of starting, like 2008 maybe, that was the other big platform for some reason was YouTube. And people were like really nasty. Like, I remember at my school, like really nasty to each other. And I don't know why it's like really comical to me now to be told like I should kill myself on like a YouTube channel, but
yeah,
it's because YouTube doesn't have
how
any
it
mods,
was.
you know.
What was that?
Because YouTube doesn't have any moderators or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe back then it definitely did, from what I remember.
Around then, also, that's kind of when AIM use was declining, because that's really what more people that like I was friends with really didn't use MySpace, and instead they used it's just Instant Messenger and that instead. But I don't know if YouTube was kind of like a weird place, sort of in between Facebook and AIM, because it obviously wasn't quite as interactive as Facebook, but you still could, leave comments, and it's where you just share your favorite videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, from what I remember in that time, YouTube was definitely different. Like how people are able to interact today, like with not just with their fan base, but actually able to respond comments and all that kind of stuff, and even become friends. I didn't see any of that on old YouTube at all. Like it was just either just to like post your videos, or like you said, share, or just comments and just say, oh hey, I like this video, and give it like a 5-star, 4-star rating, that kind of stuff.
Well, one thing
Yeah,
that
you,
did used to be different back then on YouTube was that kind of like you're saying with MySpace, that it was very customizable. Because I remember I could go in and make like my background like a certain image, and then they had this big space for like your profile picture, and then
oh
people
man,
would write these big long things like about themselves. Like it would be like the whole page worth, like a couple, like several paragraphs.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can even do that anymore.
Yeah, I remember the first when they first made the YouTube channel changes to the beta channels. The back in it,
yeah,
yeah, back in 2009, they first changed it to the beta channels. They were still very customizable, but they were a bit harder to use, and everyone was up in arms about it and angry. But eventually, everyone got used to it. But then they really got bad in 2012 when they changed it to this cosmic panda layout.
You know what I miss is when you could tag the videos with like random stuff, and like now you can only do like, I don't know if it's like so many tags or certain applicable tags or whatever, but it was my favorite where like you would do like more info on the video and you would find like the most hilarious just like random tags people could think of.
Yeah.
You used to do that on Instagram though, so I do that.
You also remember
what?
YouTube's user base seemed to be different back then.
Yeah, sure. What it totally was, because from what I remember, I mean, yeah, you may have had a few toxic comments, but overall, most of the comments were practically positive from what I remember.
Yeah, yeah. But one main thing is that there were not as many kids seemingly on there. Like there was a lot of like it was mostly a teenager seemingly. Like there was a lot of skating and smashing stuff videos.
Yeah.
I used to watch this channel, like, is it a good idea to microwave this?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, plus, like, I remember, 2006, probably to 2009-ish, maybe, that we still were kind of in this era where the parents were a lot more concerned about what their kids were doing on the internet. Not that maybe they aren't in ways now, but it was more to do with maybe using the internet at all. And I remember that this was like when I was in middle school, that everyone's like, YouTube, that's like bad. Like you could find bad stuff on YouTube. So that may have been part of it, like why kids really weren't on it yet. It was still kind of this new frontier thing, I guess.
Yeah. And then on top of that, one thing about old YouTube compared to now is that it was like you would like watch a whole video full of nothing but clips, and they would have like add like funny or deep voices to make it all hilarious. And I definitely don't. I definitely don't see those videos anymore.
Yeah, like I don't know. What this isn't even new. This has probably been this way since like 2012. But a lot of people that are more like, I don't know, vloggers or whatever you want to call it, they're the worst. That everything is so choppy. Like they try to like edit it to, I don't know, so like they don't have any like pauses when they talk and stuff. And I get that it could be annoying, too much of a pause, but like I'll be watching something and it'd be like 1 minute and this I can tell it's been edited like 10 times and it's just kind of annoying, probably no different than on the other opposite end of the spectrum that you have people's videos that they're like 30 minutes long and there's no need for this. They'll just show like the stupidest stuff that I don't care about watching, and like I just don't feel like a lot of people really hit like the sweet spot for what's gonna hold my attention, and that's why I don't really watch videos like that much.
Yeah, when it comes to like 30-minute plus video, it depends on what it is. Like if it's like full of nothing but old commercials, I can actually handle that. Or if it's like let's play games, I can handle that too. But anything else beyond that, not really.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
I don't know. If there's 30 minutes of content, then I am fine with that. But what it is I feel like it's just like fluff, if you know what I mean. Like let's just show like for 5 minutes, like we're at the beach. It's like look at the ocean for 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't care, but like at the same time, I don't want to flip through it necessarily because like what if I miss something that is good? So that's kind of, it makes it kind of frustrating for me. I don't always just want to just skip ahead.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can also say the same for these live streams as well. Like like I said this before, but I really wish they had like a game option where you could play like Uno or something on these streams.
I know.
Yeah, maybe that'll be next.
I really hope so. Because I know a lot of people do that on like Xbox Live and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're kind of at a day and age now where it's kind of about like combining technologies, you know? So we can do this, and why don't we have it all together?
Yep, almost everything is in one.
Yeah. I mean, that was the
Oh.
main hype behind the smartphone when it came out in 2007. There was a computer and a phone in one.
Right.
2007 smartphone. Those must not have been real pleasant to use compared to now.
They definitely were, because I think there was because a lot of features that a lot of people are using on the newer iPhones, it seems like they don't remember what was not on the original. Like I think the internet was awful on the first iPhone, I believe. I don't think there was an iTunes. There wasn't like an I not an I was there, I think there may have been an iTunes. I don't think there was a I don't think there was like an app store, right? Because I remember reading there was no app store for the first iPhone, I believe.
I mean, I have an iPod Touch that's like, I don't know if it's the first generation or what it is, but I got it in 2009. And I would say that it is pretty close to the iPhone 4 that I had, but the biggest difference for me is the lack of the camera, probably.
Oh, your iTouch never had a camera?
The iPod Touch doesn't have it's the older one.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. Maybe the first iPhone even have that feature. Because if it didn't have a camera, yeah, it's kind of. If you really think, man, it's really funny how you look at the timeline. I've seen how much an iPhone has actually changed. Because what was on the original compared to the iPhone 10 Plus or something, it's amazing.
I have to admit, though, I love the old size of or at least the iPhone 4 size. I like that it's bigger and smaller.
And then over the years, it's definitely gotten much bigger. Because I've seen, especially for ladies, I've seen like humongous iPhones in their hands, and their hands are like small compared to it.
Yeah, like I just got one of the last available iPhone SEs. And I don't want bigger. I mean, eventually I'll have to once I have to replace this, but it doesn't for in girl pants. It won't fit in your pocket. It won't fit in your coat. I'm not a person that likes to carry I don't like to carry a bag around at all, really, but especially not like a big bag. And I feel like you gotta carry this big tote bag to put your phone in.
Mm-hmm. And then when I see them carrying those phones, they tend to, or whenever it's in their pockets, I tend to see them always in the back, and then they're sitting on them, and then it's one of the main reasons why I see a lot of people crack phones over time, because they're sitting they even have them in their pockets, or that they don't have, or they're wearing pants that don't have pockets at all, and since their hands is practically too small for those big iPhones, that they're constantly dropping them.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing as many cracked phones back in the iPhone 4 and 5 size as I do with the newer, the 6 and above size ones. Especially the plus ones. I've seen more cracked plus phones than I have.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't think it's coincidental. Like I was saying at the beginning that I just had to get a new tablet because I broke my old one. And I've never broken a phone or anything small, but I dropped that on the floor and it shattered. And I've dropped it a lot, and it had some cracks in it, but it's done. Pretty mad about that last week.
Yeah, and then if it's not an iPhone, it's the same thing with Androids, especially the Galaxies, because even the Galaxies have gotten bigger over the years, and I've seen so many cracked ones of that as well. I've
seen a lot of cracked Galaxies, definitely. So yeah, I don't think it's coincidental, and I mean, I'll be a conspiracy theorist for a second. Maybe it's because that the phones actually aren't changing that much. My new phone isn't really that different from my iPhone 4. They want people to replace it, so it has to be great.
Yeah, because I've seen the same thing, because every year people will go out and get the newest iPhone, not even realizing that they haven't really changed all that much. Honestly,
they really haven't. What ends up happening?
Aside from some apps and all that, iPhones really haven't changed that much in the last several years.
Oh, am I on here?
Yeah, Mario.
Yeah, you're on here, Mario. The only thing that iPhones have changed so much, as well as Galaxies, is just the size of the phone, not really anything else.
Yeah, because what I started noticing with the iPhone 4 was that it was probably, see, I got in 2011. It was probably 2015 or around then that I first started noticing that it would not let me update apps. My iPod Touch, I was able to keep it current, keep doing on stuff till around 2014, 15. But
Yeah.
just still using my iPhone 4 in 2018, say like stuff like Instagram, like it will not let you install updates. Like you could not, I don't know what year it was, 2 years ago maybe, that you could no longer install the Apple software update. So it was stuff like that. It wasn't really the phone itself. It's just that it was the updates and apps that you couldn't do to stay current, and that's what forces you to replace it, really.
I'm glad I haven't had that problem, because out of all the smartphones I've had, I've only had I think 5, and I only get a new one like every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, because this iPhone SE that I'm on right now. This is only my second smartphone, really, because I just kept running the 4 because I just went, oh well, I can't update this. Like, I just didn't really care until it just got too bad this summer and I had to replace it.
So yeah, for several years I haven't seen any change. And same thing with Galaxies. Well, really any smartphone in general, there hasn't really. When you look at your non-iPhone phones, there really hasn't been that many changes either. Because, like I said, it's practically the same apps. Because there are certain apps I've been using on the Galaxies that I've been using since I got my first smartphone, and then on top of that, it's just
But with the Galaxies,
it's just the size changes. Also about it. It's not really anything else.
Yeah, I think the camera got a little bit better, but honestly, the iPhone 4 does not have a bad camera.
I'll say that Galaxies. I'll say the Android phones change more than the Android phone, the Apple phones. I mean, I would say Android more so, because Android phones, the Galaxy, I got the Galaxy S8 right now, and it's like just as the camera's as good as the newest iPhone to me.
Well. Yeah. When it comes to Android, I will say there are a few things I have noticed, like not just the sizes, but there are a few things like, for instance,
the bezels,
when you like videotape, stuff, it's the quality is a lot more clear compared to like the older Android phones.
I would say that around 2011, 12, when it was the iPhone 4, that at that point, and those were $99, and this is what I will push forever, was what made the iPhone and the smartphone in general have mass public adoption, was that it was $99.
Yeah.
And anyway, at that point, the iPhone 4 was, especially the iPhone 4 SE, they were really superior at that point to anything that Android was offering. But
you had a Galaxy
it did not take long after that for Android to catch up.
Yeah, true. Because I have, before the iPhone, because the first smartphone I had was the original Android. You remember that phone, the G1 from T-Mobile?
Yeah, I don't remember that one, but
you don't remember that phone? That phone was. Or then again, if you had T-Mobile, you remember that phone. That phone was huge if you were a T-Mobile user, because it had touchscreen.
I was a screen user.
Oh yeah, it came out 2008, but yeah, its phone's 10 years old now. But it was the first Android phone. It was the first true, legit competition with Apple, and at the time, it was good for what it was. I mean, it wasn't anything. It wasn't fancy like the iPhone. It was kind of that transition period between what early smartphones had like keyboards, so like it tried to be like
the textures.
Oh, that is one thing I miss. That's one thing I do miss about the old Androids, is that how they actually had a keyboard. Like I don't know what possessed them to get rid of that feature.
But the phone was good for what it was. If you had T-Mobile back in like 08, 09, it was like a prized possession, because it had YouTube. It had stuff the iPhone didn't. The original iPhone didn't have. Like it had YouTube. It had a camera. First of all, the original iPhone didn't have a camera. It had
my question.
It had had the camera. It had Notepad. You could download apps out the gate. With the original iPhone, you couldn't download apps until like a year later. So the original Android.
And then on top of that, the T-Mobile G1 also was able to play games.
Yeah, so G1 was kind of like what pushed Apple to being better phones in that way.
Oh yeah, because I think I mentioned it on the streams before, is that my sister actually had one of those phones. Yeah, she literally had a T-Mobile G1 phone, and she was just like using it every day up until until she got like a new phone, I believe.
Yeah, now it's
And this was and this and yeah, and this was back in the period that you're talking about. Like she like had one,
late.
and she was able to do so much on it. She was even able to play music. And when I first heard music on that phone, I thought people were like calling her or texting her, but no, she was actually literally playing like an actual song on there, not a clip of a song, but the actual full song.
Yeah, I mean, there were phones who played music before that. I mean, I had a phone that played music before that phone, but like that phone. But I was at the first like true iPhone competition. Like that's
right,
I had a Lotus.
And then on top of that, on top of that, the web browser was actually a lot cleaner and nicer compared to what you would see on a flip phone.
Definitely, even a BlackBerry. I mean, you have Blackberries probably on time too. People forget about Blackberries. I was like,
you could do a lot on a BlackBerry, really. I had something like a BlackBerry. Do you remember the Lotus? It was like a square phone. It was like
a Lotus.
It was like yeah.
Are you talking about the Palm phones?
But it was like a square. It folded in half to a square, and then you opened it, and it had a keyboard and like a huge screen, and you always get trouble texting in class.
Oh gosh. Oh man, oh man.
It was bright red. Yeah, there was no way to hide this thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I think that was a Sprint exclusive. I'm not sure.
I think it was. But yeah, no, that phone had like a really good Facebook app on it at the time for 2010 or whatever it did.
Oh man, that was actually pretty nice.
It came out 2010. You said?
Yeah, I know. I got it in 2010, like early 2010.
Oh wow! So you was pretty. Oh wow! So you felt like the cool kid, I guess.
Yeah, everyone was like always like your phone's like giant when it was open. Then when I fold it and have to pick, it's so small. Like it fits in your pocket. That was the main reason why I got it. Fit it in the car.
I remember the LG Chocolate came around time. That's another smartphone.
Oh yeah, that was like the cool phone for a little while.
I think it came out like late 2009, so it was like another early Android phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that phone too. It's kind of funny how we're talking about all these phones that people don't seem to remember before there was just a competition of Galaxies and iPhones.
Yeah, people, I swear, like forget about this generation of phones that was like we used to call them like the texture phones, that they were just kind of in between the 2000s cell phones and like an iPhone.
Yes.
Because iPhones like they were expensive in 2010. You know, like it wasn't normal really to have one yet.
Right.
Yeah, right. Unless you're a business person or a celebrity.
Because if you had like the highest tech phone then, it was either like a T-Mobile G1 or a Sidekick or a BlackBerry. And if you didn't have any of those, you still had like a flip phone or a slide or anything.
Well, flip phone's pretty much dead by 2010. Like I don't know anybody with flip phone by late.
Oh well, if it wasn't a flip phone, it was definitely a slide. It was definitely a slide phone because I do remember seeing those all the time.
I remember seeing a couple people still when I was even like a senior that they were still texting with like a flip phone that was, you know, it didn't have the keyboard. You had to, with like the ones with just like the 9 buttons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember then feeling like that's like archaic because it was probably from like 2009, you know.
Yeah. I mean, by 2009, that was like flip phones pretty much died, really.
Yeah, because my parents would not get me a cell phone until I was like in high school, pretty much.
But keyboard phones were pretty much in though.
People still had. Yeah, a lot of people I remember still having. They had those throughout that time.
Yeah, I got I used to have a Nextel because my family had Nextel before it like transitioned into Sprint. So that was probably one of the weirdest like in between pieces of technology that I've ever had. That it was in 2009.
Oh man,
it was a red phone. It had a full keyboard. You could do Facebook, stuff like that. You could go on YouTube, but it was a Nextel and it had the Nextel walkie-talkie. And I don't know how many of those exist. That keyboard and a walkie-talkie.
Oh man, you ain't lying. That was a weird era for like phones because everybody had so many different types of phones. It wasn't they had the exact same thing, and it was just man.
Yeah, it was very varied because then you also had people with iPhones. You had people with some of the crude touchscreen phones, and then you still have people with flip phones. It just probably 2000.
Yeah.
You have like the widest variety of phones you'll probably
ever
see, really.
Hey, Rainy.
Yeah, it's one.
Hello. So what did I miss this time?
We're talking about cell phones.
Really? I thought we were
Cell
talking about
phones.
2018.
We can
Oh,
talk about 2018. I want to
Yeah.
talk about movies in 2018.
All right, go ahead.
All right. What do you guys think were like big movies this year?
I love
Black
Simon.
Panther, Deadpool,
The Avengers. Which one? Age
yeah,
of
the
Ultron?
Avengers,
I didn't
yes,
watch movies
Aquaman,
this year, except for Love Simon.
Love Simon was also big.
What's that? I don't even know.
Oh, it's the movie that depicted the LGBT. That was Love Simon.
Yeah.
Not a gay teenager.
I remember hearing about that movie.
8th grade.
Oh yes, eighth grade was kind of big. Let's
Incredible.
see.
It's great.
Two.
It came out theaters. That was a theater movie. That was a theatrical release.
Also, Incredibles 2.
Oh yes, The
Yeah.
Incredibles.
I remember Wolves talk about that movie Wobo, 8th grade. I don't think that I thought that was like one of those like independent movies. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Incredibles, so this is what we were talking about in the previous stream. How in this decade, there's been way too many
Sequels.
glorification of nostalgia with all these reboots and
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Masters.
way
This
too
came out in
many.
like 2004 or something. The original Incredibles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you about The Incredible. I want to say about.
decade. Let's just talk about 2018, please.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Incredibles for a moment. Like, there is definitely an exception to that because the sequel of that movie should have came out years ago, and I'm glad they finally did. But that was definitely an exception to that.
One thing that I thought was really kind of interesting when that came out this summer was that Brad Bird, the director, he was getting all kinds of like tweets from people. Like, they were all upset. They were all like, I took my 3-year-old to see Incredibles 2 and it was like really violent, or like it was 2 hours long and this was supposed to be a kid's movie. Then he fired back on his Twitter and he was just like, okay, you can check the rating before you go. You can look at the time before you go. And he was just like, why is something that's Disney and cartoon have to necessarily be for children? And I think it was kind of an interesting thing to kind of open up. Not that it hasn't been already, but moving forward, are we going to be seeing more cartoons and whatnot be less child oriented? Like, is this something that we should start expecting more, and from as like Disney expands their products and their breadth, we should
Their
not
audience.
necessarily expect it's like these are little kid movies.
Yeah, because that is something I have noticed over the last several years about all the Disney movies, as well as even Pixar at one point before they kind of died off, is that almost all their movies now is rated PG.
Yeah. Well, I think that Disney, like as far as the theater release movies, they really haven't been like honest like kid movies for kind of a long time now, because I feel like they're always like tend to be more like Oscar baity and whatnot. Like they tend to keep more that kids only stuff to.
I feel the same about
TV.
DreamWorks.
What?
I feel the same about DreamWorks. DreamWorks been like that since the 2000s. Really, pretty much since Shrek. DreamWorks been that PG. We for a kid. We ain't that children, but adults can still enjoy it. It has adult humor. Like I feel like it's DreamWorks kind of started that trend.
Yeah, I feel like DreamWorks kind of, in a way, I think they started that trend like with Shrek, and there's a lot of adult humor in it. But at the same time, I think they also do have some movies that maybe are more kid movies. Like they do both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where Disney, I haven't seen anything that was a straight up kiddie movie in a long time.
Does the one with the Minions count as like a kid like movie?
I actually haven't seen all of that, but I mean, I probably would, but at the same time, I know a lot of adults who are obsessed with Minions, so I don't know.
I know, right?
Yeah, because there was
got a ride at Universal.
Because you had the Despicable Me trilogy, and then you had like the individual Minion movie that was like a spinoff.
Yeah, I haven't like caught up with seeing all of them yet, but it's a much bigger franchise, I think, than I've realized, I guess, in the past. I mean, for them to build a Minions ride at Universal, it's definitely
I saw that, and then on top of that, I think my cousin or my niece. One of them, either one of them got a Minion bottle, a Minion water bottle, and we
Oh,
and
yeah.
I one of and they and here and they either one of them still has it to this day.
Well, yeah, because I still see stuff that lots of like toys. I've seen like paper plates. I've seen people like a lot of like party stuff. Like it's like a popular like kids like birthday party.
Yeah. Another
And
great movie of 2018. I mean, we mentioned, yeah, you guys mentioned Love Simon. Black Panther, that movie was huge over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was it was definitely big among black people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like pro black, for example, like Killmonger was like the epitome of like the pro black, SJW type, like the whole Black Lives Matter. He represented that side of
yeah,
the black community well.
yeah, I think Black Panther came at like the right time.
Yeah. Like he even mentioned the stuff, like he mentioned a lot of real struggles black people go through in the movie. I was like, dang, this movie deep.
Yeah, like I think that if something like that were released like a couple years ago, I don't think that it would have gotten kind of the same like
Yeah,
reaction as it got.
yeah.
Uh huh.
Because last 2 years you had especially the last 4 years with the whole Black Lives Matter, the police brutality, and Trump being in
Yeah.
office, it kind of like sparked this whole,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Here's
Yeah.
another movie. Oh, you want to continue?
No, I'm good.
Yep. This one just came out recently, Vice, about Dick Cheney.
Oh yeah, I keep seeing the ads for that. I did not
Yeah.
recognize Christian Bale.
Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, one of the characters played Bush is in the movie. If somebody plays Bush in the movie, yeah.
Yeah, he
That's
didn't. He didn't have too big of a role, but they just played Bush as a bumbling idiot.
Basically.
Wow.
That's
Interesting, right?
that's practically what he was.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
like, I remember growing up, everyone was constantly vilifying him. Like, I hate Bush, and I'm like, I don't know if Bush does anything, honestly.
I mean,
He's
now
a
people are
puppet.
nostalgic about the Bush era, but thanks to Trump, now people saying, "Dang, Bush was a better president than Trump."
Well, in terms
Dang.
of
Yeah,
character,
totally.
but some of the stuff that went on wasn't really good.
Yeah. Don't get me. Yeah, Bush Jr. was definitely a dumb person, but he didn't make all. He didn't try to divide the country. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nerdy,
yeah, sure.
this is a little off topic, but I swear you and Mario sound alike.
What do you mean?
Like your voices just sound alike. Like sometimes when you talk, I think it's Mario talking. Like you sound so alike.
Oh,
Really?
Really?
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
No, your voice is a bit higher than mine's. I don't think.
Well, I have to
Oh.
look and see which one of you is talking, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm talking when you see the cowboy star.
yeah.
Yeah. Like if I'm like
Yeah.
on like something else, I have to like look down and see.
I swear,
Like,
you
it
sound
was
like
either-
you sound like Mario, but you usually never do.
Like
It's
I
so
can
fucking
tell.
strange.
Sorry. Right now, I could still tell who's who when they're talking, but I do think it was easier to tell the difference since back when I think Nerdy had a different microphone.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, because if I don't know if it's making any differences right now, but I'm using my wired headphones that I got with my new phone like a few months back. And then prior to that, I was using my wireless headphones.
I wasn't
Yeah.
even looking at the screen, and at the beginning, I legit thought that was Mario talking.
Oh, I just got here, Rainbow. Well, then again, you just got here
Legit.
too, so yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense for you to
So
think that.
weird.
I mean,
So
because,
back to the movie topic. So I'm looking about the list of the movies that came out throughout this year, and as well as just like the beginning of the year where you had Black Panther, you also had like the second or third 50 Shades movie,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
and then you have let's see, there's a whole bunch. There's a movie called Nostalgia that came out in February.
oh dang, it's a lot of
I
there's a
feel
lot of
like
movie
a
stuff I
lot
forgot
of
about.
I feel like a lot
There
of
was
the
a-
movies that have come out this year, they have been part of some kind of like series of other movies. Like the new
Yeah.
what is it that is part of Harry Potter, the Grindelwald, whatever.
The Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, the second one of Fantastic Beasts came out last month. And I don't know, like it's hard for me to necessarily associate that as being super 2018 because it's like a sequel and then it's like the new 50 Shades. It's hard for me to. That's like I don't know when the original came out. Maybe 2015, 2014.
2014.
Yeah,
I mean, I think-
I think of that more from back then. So I don't go, oh yeah, 2018 movie, another 50 Shades, because I kind of always associate sequels with the original. Unless there's a huge gap, maybe like with The Incredibles.
It's like a time gap.
Yeah.
I mean, Creed. Yeah. I mean, it was. Yeah, I feel like I didn't realize how many sequels there was in 2018 until yesterday when Nerdy was telling me the list of movies that came out this year. I was like, really? Because most of the movies that I paid attention to were like the Marvel movies and that came out this year. I
mean, like even though Black Panther is still part of that universe, it was one of the few really big ones, in my opinion, that is really like solidly its own movie.
Yeah, it's the original.
I totally agree.
It's the entire cast is black, which is really original for a superhero movie.
Yeah, definitely.
I know.
One thing that was also interesting is like Aquaman has just come out, and there was some controversy, like I think earlier this year about casting Jason Momoa in it, because some people were like, oh, like in the comic books, like Aquaman is like blonde haired and like blue eyed, and they were like, oh well, we got somebody with Polynesian ancestry to play Aquaman, and they kind of refitted it, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And I don't know, I think that's kind of an interesting move, I guess, that historically a lot of times people have been like, oh, we have to cast a person that looks like this or that, and kind of just going away with that.
Yeah.
Other movies that came out this year, there was one called Tomb Raider. I kind of actually forgot about that. That was based on the game.
I forgot about that too.
Tomb Raider. Dang, I forgot about that.
Yeah, there was a Tomb Raider movie. And then there was another movie called can you hear me about Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say there was sorry. What were you gonna say about Tomb Raider?
No, I wasn't saying anything about Tomb Raider. I was changing the subject, so continue.
I was gonna say the next movie that came out in March was another Pacific Rim movie, but it was called Pacific Rim Uprising.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that movie.
Then there was a movie called Sherlock Gnomes.
Oh yeah, then there's a new Holmes and Watson out right now with Will Ferrell in it.
Yeah, I heard that movie's getting panned right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
I get so nostalgic though about the two of them together because like Step Brothers was like my movie when that came out.
Step Brothers. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Step Brothers, the Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
What else were they in?
I don't know. It was mostly those that I watched.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't there? Were they in Semi Pro by any chance?
Yes.
Step Brothers. Oh yeah, I remember Step Brothers was huge in 2008. I remember that movie was pretty fun.
I can't believe that movie is 10 years old. It's ridiculous.
Right? Right though. It's crazy how 2008 is 10
crazy.
years.
I know.
Yeah, 2009 is gonna be 10 years ago.
I can't believe
and so will 2010.
Yeah. But
yeah.
One thing I want to bring up about Will Ferrell, he seemed like he was the Jim Carrey of the odds. Well, Will Ferrell being to the odds what Jim Carrey was to the 90s.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like 2018 to me.
It's funny, Jim Carrey kind of his resurgence recently. You know how like he came out, I don't know if it was like last year or whatever it was, and there was all these memes of him with like this big beard and he's talking all this like existential stuff, and all the hashtag woke kids are all like reblogging it and all this. And then he had, if any of you guys saw it, he's actually in a new Showtime series that aired kind of the end of this year. It's called Kidding, and he was kind of it's a really odd show, but it's interesting. And he's basically this character who has been on TV, and he kind of starts to go crazy. And I don't know, it's kind of an interesting transformation from Jim Carrey.
Yeah. 2018 was definitely. I mean, I mean, movies wise, 2018 was definitely interesting. I mean, even though it had a lot of
Yeah.
sequels, I mean, there was a lot of big movies. There was a lot of movies that had a lot, like by once get towards the end of 2018, you saw a lot of like you had like I mean, you had the Bumblebee movie that just came out that got a lot of good reviews. The Spider-Man movie, considered the
Oh,
best
yeah.
Spider-Man
Yeah, the
movie
movie
that
with
ever.
Queen,
Yeah, yeah,
Bohemian
no,
Rhapsody. That's what everybody was talking about last month, and
yeah,
now like the past like week, anytime I've constantly heard people talk about Mary Poppins Returns. Like I'll
yeah.
just
Bird Box.
Like yesterday, I was at like the craft store and I heard like 5 different people talking about it's like next to the movie theater going to go
Yeah.
see Mary Poppins Returns.
Oh yeah, and then another movie people talking about Creed too. That came last month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan's been white hot these past few years.
Oh,
He's been
yeah.
like white hot.
Yeah, I also
Yeah,
noticed
he was even in Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's he's so white hot now as an actor.
have you guys also been noticed these last 3 years that The Rock has been making a resurgence? Dwayne Johnson.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
he's been
been with,
he was
Fake
in,
Black,
He's like the
he was
highest paid
in,
actor in Hollywood.
right?
and then he was
From
in
someone came-
Ray.
Wait, say that
someone used
again.
to be a wrestler.
I was gonna say the movie that I watched this year with him, and he was in Rampage.
He voiced in Moana. That was a big one. That was like
Oh
2 years
yeah.
ago.
Oh dang, The Rock has been doing his thing for sure. Like, and the
I
fact that
know.
he's be a wrestler, a WWE wrestler, is mind blowing. That he's like one
He's
of
like
the biggest actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, he really is. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I remember when he was like fighting wrestling, doing wrestling promos, and now he's like doing all
Yeah.
these movies, big budget movies.
Uh.
Same with John Cena. Same with John Cena. He's in Bumblebee now. The wrestler Cena.
Yeah.
Oh, John Cena is actually from his Al's area, the Boston area somewhere. Yeah, he's from West Newbury, so yeah.
Oh yeah, I know he was like somewhere, but I don't know exactly where.
I mean, yeah, he read
Him and Mark
Boston.
Wahlberg. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
Mark.
actors from this area.
And wasn't there also I don't know if this came out this year, but was there any Disney movie remakes that came out in 2018?
All I can think of is Mary Poppins and Incredibles.
Oh.
Well, Incredibles is like a sequel. That's not definitely a remake.
Well, there was the Jungle Book. Jungle Book was last year, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I think
Yeah, I don't.
watched it
There
earlier.
there probably
Lion
wasn't
King
any.
next year.
Yeah, because there's the Lion King next year, and then there's a Latin, and there. Oh man, that's not just the only remake. There are so many remakes and reboots coming out next year. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, cap
Yeah.
off
And then on-
the decade of
and on-
reboots and remakes, which have
And
been
then on
way
top
too
of that,
much.
and then on top of that, they got sequels of reboots. Like
Yeah.
there's another It movie coming out next year. It's like why?
I mean,
'Cause
yeah,
They don't want to take chances on original ideas because it could cost them money. Versus
Yeah.
that, if people are already familiar with a franchise, they're less likely to take a risk on it.
yeah.
Yeah,
This
it's also like
decade's been pretty. That's been a trend. That's been like a trend of this decade. Sequels and reboots. Like it wasn't even bad in the early 10s. Like I remember Black Nerd made a video about this in 2011 about how many movies in 2011 are sequels and reboots that are not sequels and reboots. He said 4. I was like, dang.
yeah, it's not only with the
So-
movies, but also with the video games too. Like I remember a Ukulele which everyone hyped to be this great spiritual successor to Banjo Kazooie, but it turned out being a pretty lame game.
Mediocre. Yeah.
Yeah.
The camera of that game kind of ruined the reputation. The camera.
Yeah.
Also,
Also, I'm looking.
Pokemon movie coming out. Is that next year?
Which one?
The Pokemon movie with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
Is that
I think
Pokemon?
so.
Yeah.
I saw Pokemon 20, the one with Ho-Ho.
Yeah, I think there's a Pokemon movie supposed to be coming out next year. I think.
Yeah, the one that's live action.
Oh, never
Oh
mind. That's
yes,
not-
it's supposed to be coming out next year, I believe. Let me check. Hold on.
I feel like
Hold on.
that and the Lion King live action, those are the ones that everyone's like freaking out about right now.
Yeah.
So you guys ready here? I'm looking at the list for 2019.
Yeah.
That's coming out, and out of all the reboots and sequels we got coming up, we have. Let me see from the start.
There's
Okay,
Toy
hold
Story
on.
4 next year too, wasn't there?
Yeah, there's Toy Story. Yeah, Toy Story
And
4 is coming out next
Frozen.
year. Another
I'm
Lego
gonna be a
movie is coming out
big
next year.
Toy Story 4.
And
And
then-
if it's
and then-
not,
Toy
I just-
Story 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I
feel
wouldn't
like-
mind going to see.
I
yeah,
mean,
like I
so
still
what's
want to see it, but the problem, I feel like they wrapped up Toy Story 3 pretty nicely. Yeah,
I know because Toy Story 3, Andy was like much older than he was Toy Story
yeah.
2.
I feel
He
like
was
it
in
was
college.
over. Like I'm like, what could Toy Story 4 even be about?
I guess the story. I guess the
Yeah.
little sister, the little sister's gonna be the star now.
Huh.
Yeah,
guess
I don't know.
so.
It
It better be
Sorry.
really good because everyone's gonna say it's really pointless if it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
really
that's
hope it's good. I plan on going to see it when it comes out.
Yeah,
But
well,
Toy Story-
there's been a lot of pointless reboots and remakes. Like, do you guys remember this was a few years ago? Dumb and Dumber 2.
Oh yes, but that was like a long time sequel out of the original that came out a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that's more of a revisiting it than even a sequel if it's been long enough, I guess. It just depends.
But some
Yeah.
reboots,
The Clerks actually did that too at one time, where the first one came out in the 90s and the second one came out in the 2000s.
Yeah. I mean, they do that a lot. They reboot movies that not even that old. They reboot movies that came like 5 years ago, and they already rebooted, like Spider-Man, for example. They
Yeah,
reboot
Spider-Man.
movie,
That
like-
was way too early for Spider-Man for some reason.
Like
Yeah.
they should not reboot.
To me,
And they did the same
Spider-Man-
thing with TMNT as well.
And they did what? Yeah, they reboot movies that not even a decade old. Like that's how bad it's gotten.
To me, Spider-Man is very 2000s. And I don't know, I feel like with a lot of stuff that's 2000s, it is too early to bring back. Just
I mean,
wait.
at least
Yeah.
15 years. I'd say at least 15 years or 20 years for it to become bring it back. 'Cause now we kind of miss it. Now people are nostalgic. Now, even though 90s nostalgia is still big, early 2000s nostalgia is really getting big over the last 2 years. Early 2000s nostalgia. The fact that kids born in those years are in high school now makes it nostalgic for those who remember those years being as their childhood or teenage years. They look at us like, dang man, it's been that long since we watch those movies or play those games or watch the TV shows.
Well, all right, take the Batman when they brought that back in, I don't know, in the 2000s, but I'm thinking particularly the Dark Knight, in 2008, that they had done a lot with Batman a long time before that. I don't know the years exactly, but so
I don't remember one 2005 before that one.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't. They had done some stuff with it in the 70s or in the 80s. I don't know. Maybe it was. I know they had Batman and the Robin in the 90s, which was a joke. I think it was in the 90s. But the thing is, say when the Dark Knight came out, that some of the technology and whatnot, the visuals of the movie, it was so much better than that older stuff. Or versus if we're looking at Spider-Man made in the 2000s and we compare it to something made now, it doesn't seem like enough of an improvement, at least to me, to warrant needing to redo it.
Yeah.
By the way, one thing I want to bring up, since this decade has been glorifying nostalgia, what do you think people are going to remember this decade for in the 2030s?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll say smartphones for one, because smartphones really booming this decade.
Yeah, but the thing is,
yeah,
the problem though is I don't think smartphones are going anywhere though.
Well, yeah, that's my thought on it too.
But cell phones, but same with cell phones, people thought that's the reason the reason why 2000s took so long to be nostalgic for. The reason why people are taking so long. The reason why in this 2000s just now becoming nostalgic to a lot of people is because the cell phones, the internet was already available throughout that decade.
Well,
but now people say, "Oh, dang, MySpace that doesn't exist no more." Cell phones were so primitive, so all you could do was call or maybe text, and you had minutes. The internet was even though the internet was getting, high school internet was starting to become normal. It was still slow compared to today, really slow compared to now.
Well, you guys
now you see this.
Wait, what did you say, Al?
Sorry, no, I don't want to cut anyone off. I just don't know when you guys are done.
I was just saying that the 2000s, it just now become nostalgia, or at least the early 2000s. It just now has become nostalgia to a lot of people because of those factors, and then the fact that 9/11, the fact that kids born in 2000s are now in high school, early 2000s.
I was just gonna say, I think that I suppose smartphones
how they'll be reminisced, it would be kind of like the television in the 1950s. Like, you know, like, we still have TVs. It hasn't necessarily gone anywhere, but because they were new, they were so integrated into the culture at that point that we have an association, I guess, with 50s and early television. That would probably just be like early smartphones, assuming they don't go anywhere. Like that's 2010s. It would be like early internet. That's 2000 stuff like that.
Yeah.
Smartphones of this decade is what was cell phones was in the 2000s. You know, we look at 2000s like the golden age of cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
I miss that
I
cell
think-
phone fashion stuff. Would be like those ridiculous cases. I mean, you still get cases, but it's not like it was back then.
And then also
I think another instance I think another instance of nostalgia people will be that people will have back for the 10s is probably the emojis, all the emojis and all that, because that definitely has become big throughout this decade compared to the previous.
Yeah,
because people used to call it smileys.
Or emoticons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I heard somewhere that text speech originated because a cell phones only had because you had to press the key a certain number of times to text.
Yeah, a lot of people hated that.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that's probably going to be nostalgic about this decade. I mean, maybe because nostalgic itself, the fact this is the first decade people got really nostalgic about stuff. Nostalgia, it's going to be all right. Nostalgic about nostalgia.
Yeah, I know.
Because this decade was so big in nostalgia, like 90s nostalgia especially. Like this decade made the 90s like.
I think the 90s suck, but that's just my opinion.
I think they're the most overrated decade. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
I'd say for me I'd say the 80s, but
I prefer the 80s over the 90s, but I mean I don't know. I guess because I wasn't there, maybe it probably was worse than I know. But
I might have a reason why people might think the 90s is overrated because a lot of people tend to talk about the same stuff over and over and over again. Like, especially regarding music. Have you noticed that when it comes to like 90s music, almost everybody either talks about gangster rap or they're talking about grunge, while they're overlooking everything else that was out.
Yeah, like the adult contemporary that was popular then.
That stuff that never get talked about. Neither does R&B or any of the reggae stuff that came out or the house. All that stuff is never mentioned in music. It's always gangster rap,
or even the country
or
music,
grunge.
You know.
That too.
Yeah,
even Latin music doesn't get mentioned.
Okay, they always want to talk about like even like the grunge, like fashion and stuff like that, and like most people did not look like that, and some of these
of course they didn't.
Yeah, like, they always I always see these photos where there's these 90s looks or like Clueless, like people didn't look like that. Like if I'm honest, I think the 2010s is actually when you're more likely to see the most kind of like ordinary real life people wear kind of more like trendy fashion things. Like I'll be out and just see like people that are like moms wearing like trendy clothing items.
Do you guys think hipster is dying?
Yes. I think it's
probably
transforming into something else, though.
Maybe.
Have you guys heard of like the dad bod trend?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Wait, you said dad bod? Like fat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Al. Yeah, Miss Al.
It just means like it's not necessarily like fat, but just like
you
work out, you just drink beer.
Yeah, that.
But Miss Al, when you were saying about the 90s fashion, I kind of agree with you on that because the grunge look mainly appealed towards the grunge scene was mainly focused on like grunge was popular everywhere in the early 90s, but it was mainly a Seattle thing. So
yeah,
it was mainly people from Pacific
and not only was it a Seattle thing, it was mainly like a white person thing because
you're not gonna see no person from the hood dressed like that.
Almost no black person that I know actually ever listened to grunge at that time.
Yeah, I feel like grunge is something that it got bigger as time went on.
It got bigger than what it was when it was around.
Yeah.
When did Kurt Cobain die? Was it April '94?
Yeah.
This was before I was born.
Oh yeah, what month you born? July?
July, yeah.
Oh wow, so you're like at the tail end of
what day?
July 13th, 1994.
Oh, so you're like
Oh,
the tail
nice.
end of class of 2012.
Yep, yeah, I'm one of
Yay.
the youngest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another
I'm
thing.
kind of the youngest too, because I was like born in June.
Yeah.
I
A
was
lot of
born in
people
June.
stayed back. Like there was a ton of like summer 93s that they're like a
Yeah.
whole year older than me.
Oh yeah, but like grunge, but grunge definitely got bigger over time for sure. Cause
It sure did. And
Well,
then
with-
and then and then not only is grunge always talked about among 90s nostalgic music, even teen pop gets mentioned a lot, despite the fact that it wasn't the only genre being listened to back in the late 90s. Like I noticed that a lot of hip hop, all the pop punk at the time, even
Yeah,
the
the pop
new
punk
metal.
was
even
huge.
the not just new metal, but also even the adult contemporary stuff of the late 90s, that stuff is
Yeah.
never talked
Like
about at
people
all.
associate. I mean, new metal. People forget that how big Korn was in the late
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
Blink
Korn was just
182.
Yeah.
Oh
They're never
yeah.
they are never talked about. It's like I don't
Huge
understand.
band then. Huge band.
Yeah. By the way, do you guys think that Al and Rainbow sound alike? Because you brought up
Yeah.
about you two.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait, what?
I don't
I'll say Rainbow's voice is a bit higher, but yeah,
What do you mean higher?
yeah, your voice
Like-
is
Higher pitch?
yeah,
it has like a distinct tone, I think.
yeah,
I have a very generic girl voice. I will freely admit that.
yeah.
What
But yeah,
kind of accent do I have?
I don't think you
I
have one.
mean, you sound pretty, like it'd be from anywhere, really.
Just somewhere in America.
Yeah, America.
America.
Yeah, I always thought that
Yeah.
by far the one with the strongest accent that's been on our streams, unless you count the few times. I think there was only once when Shark Tank was on there. Is MQG.
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
well, how do I have the strongest accent?
No, I think you said MQG had the strongest accent.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's from
I
Georgia,
remember-
so he.
No, but I remember Captain said that I had one of the strongest accents in the stream.
Well, I think I may have said that, but it's really not saying much because there's really not very much of accent since the manga.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But
Yeah.
I remember you said that I had like one of the strongest accents though. Like I legit remember. That's where
Probably,
my
yeah.
memory screwed up.
I think
Yeah.
it says it's stronger than the rest of us, but it doesn't mean too much because
Yeah.
Captain has like a, I don't know, kind of like an announcer voice.
Yeah, his
He
accents
does.
his accent be kind of twangy at times. He kind of sound a little twangy at times.
That's
I
only
said-
because he's from the South, right?
Well, he's
Colorado.
born in South. Well, he lives in Colorado now, so he kind of has his accent's kind of over the place now because he lives in.
Isn't Colorado like a western state? I don't know.
it's basically
Oh, wait,
it's
Rocky
considered a
Isn't like a
western.
mountain state? I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Rocky Mountain state.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a deceiving when everyone groups the mountain states all in the same way because a lot of them are very different. Well, like Utah's the odd one out with its Mormon population. Although you could also throw
population.
Idaho in there as well.
Yeah.
Like Colorado,
Yeah.
you're most like stereotypically when you think of Colorado, you think of these granola hippie types. While in Nevada, you have more of these
I think
I'd say pimps and stuff, these gamblers and
I feel like I'm very northern.
I mean,
Yeah, I
Like,
like
very-
from a northern state, but it's
I mean, you
not
definitely have like
obvious.
Because I was born in Pennsylvania.
yeah, which is like the north. Yeah, definitely.
It's like legit
I mean-
right next to New Jersey. So I mean,
Yeah, you could just yeah.
Yeah.
But back to the 2018 thing. I think nostalgia is definitely 90s nostalgia specifically is definitely something that's going to be remembered for this decade. But 2018 specifically, though, I think early 2000s nostalgia. I think when you start noticing early 2000s nostalgia being a thing now on the internet, like
Yeah.
you just-
I definitely see it. Well, I have a theory that I've had for a couple years now that the reason why that we're seeing such heavy nostalgia to this degree is because that thanks to the internet, stuff can't die. So if you want to see
Yeah.
old music videos, you want to see old fashion, it's so accessible. So it's just you want the inspiration or whatever it is, it's right at your fingertips. Where like I remember when I was little, like if I wanted something that was old and like I'd have to go find like a VHS or even, you know, when it was DVDs before I could just go online, that you'd have to go find this stuff, you know, and if you wanted like certain clothes, that if it wasn't being produced, like that wasn't accessible. So I think that that's changed a lot, both from just a kind of like a browsing and an actual buying perspective.
Yeah, I definitely say that. Although there are some times when the vibe could be different, despite it them both being at the times when like you know, the early internet culture of 2007, like the Rickroll and Chocolate Rain stuff. Like there's a certain vibe there that is different from now, but people are still Rickrolling people to this day. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another thing that 2000 this decade be remembered for would be one thing that I'll probably find in 2010s is probably the rise of social media. Like this is probably this is probably the first decade where people legit felt worried about social media. The social media seen as a threat to like, you know,
Yeah.
parenting and like and you know, now this is how teenagers communicate across the board. Like, you know, like texting was big for people our age. That's how social media is for the teenagers nowadays.
Yeah, well, it's almost like one and the same too when you consider on smartphones that you kind of can text on a Snapchat or something.
Yeah, like it's but yeah, like once the 2010s came around, that's when people started worrying about, you know, social media. You started hearing a lot of these, you know, like a lot of talk shows talk about teenagers being on social media so much.
Because I remember in the 2000s they were more concerned about like kids playing, you know, like back when it was like PS2 probably. Like, oh, you know, kids aren't playing
like Grand Theft Auto.
More kids are
Like Grand Theft Auto and stuff.
Yeah, because because Grand
Are you
Theft
talking
Auto
like
at that
Grand Theft
time,
Auto?
Oh yeah, that era.
because Grand Theft Auto at the time was practically brand new to most people. Because I mean, yeah, there was already two beforehand, but most people didn't even know about that. It's franchise until the third game came out.
True. I mean, the third game throughout the 2000s, Grand Theft Auto has been like the M-rated franchise.
Yeah.
Call of
down
Duty
M-rated.
2000s probably.
Now the most M-rated franchise of this decade is Call of Duty.
For sure. Oh yeah, Call of Duty. Thank you for saying that, Nerdy. Call of Duty. That's another thing people gonna remember about this decade. Call of Duty was big throughout this whole decade.
Yeah. Well, here's something else people are going to remember about this decade. These weird young adult movies that are based off of books like the Divergent series and Hunger Games.
Yes.
Yeah. There's the dystopian movies.
Yeah, it's dystopian, but just even in general, like there's like The Fault in Our Stars and like all the John Green books that become movies.
Yeah. I mean, and then it's also like the fall of television watching, like people's watching way less TV. This first, like, television is getting like way less watch time than it had in previous decades.
Yeah, and the advertising having to adapt to it has been a huge part.
Yeah, I mean, I was like pretty much I watched less and less TV as this. I mean, once the 2000s ended, I started watching way less TV than I did.
Yeah.
Than I used to. Like.
Yeah, me too.
I think everybody started getting way more channels too, which is interesting. Like if you have cable.
Yeah. Netflix, the Netflix and chill decade for sure.
Yeah, streaming in general, because streaming has definitely gotten popular since the start. Like you can not only stream movies, you can stream games, you can stream music, you can stream anything.
Yeah, and the smart TVs instead of just regular.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, and yeah, and skinny jeans. Like you guys, I think everyone's just hipster.
Yeah. Skinny jeans was definitely a thing that was throughout this decade.
I mean, even though skinny jeans.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, even though skinny jeans was kind of popular in the 2000s, it was mainly worn by skaters. So mainly skaters wore them, or like.
Yeah. What I think is going on this decade, especially like in the first part of the 10s, like it was hard to kind of find anything like but skinny jeans, like probably like 2011, 2012, 2013, where you started having all these like mom jeans and the dad jeans in like the past like year or two, I don't know. And I feel like we're kind of at the point now where it's starting to be that like any style of jeans are starting to become available.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's kind of an interesting fashion thing from the decade as a whole is that instead of it be like, okay, this is the fashion thing right now, that they're starting to become available, like kind of whatever you want, I guess. You know, maybe not everything is necessarily always the hot item, but there's getting kind of more freedom to.
Yeah, I see a lot of, I see like almost everything being worn these days. Either and then it's not hipster stuff, then it's like sports stuff like Adidas,
Leisure
Nike,
stuff,
Jordans,
definitely.
or it's like the skater stuff like Vans, that kind of, or Converse, that kind of stuff. I see that too.
Yeah, and like it's acceptable now to wear like workout clothes out now because
Yeah,
they
I see that too.
look better. So like you can go out and just wear like your workout pants and your workout hoodie, and especially also sneakers being like a hot item for fashion, not just for working out.
Or you know, at least sneakers been hot. At least depending what type of brand, because you know some sneakers are like way more expensive than it should be, like Nike and Jordan. Yeah. like a hip hop. I think another thing that made this decade. Well, I know trap music is considered, you know, more identified with the second half of this decade, but trap music was pretty big even in the early 10s, like the trap hip hop, trap rap, whatever.
It was like dubstep was huge in like the early part.
Because I remember, like I'm not sure this. I mean, I know you guys live in different parts of the country, but I remember like in the early 10s, like it was like Waka Flocka, Gucci Mane, you know,
who's that one that sings the black and yellow?
Wiz Khalifa. Yeah, like he had rapper
huge in like 2011 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Rainbow's home state. He's from Rainbow's birth state, Pennsylvania.
And then he had like a few other songs after that. Like not only did he have Black and Yellow, he had like a song called like Roll Up, and then he had like Sleeping. He had like another song called Sleep, and then he had another.
Mario, you know who else was born in Pennsylvania?
Who?
The coolest bitch. AKA me.
We already said your name. We already mentioned that you was born in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but you didn't mention I was the coolest bitch. I just wanted to remind you that. Hasn't changed. Gosh. It will never change.
Well, I will say something about the music. The most biggest music genre of this whole decade, honestly, it's going to be EDM, of course, because when you go back to the beginning, you had. I mean, people keep saying that electropop and EDM are two different things, but actually, electropop is honestly, it was really a part of the EDM trend because
I would agree.
Almost every artist, especially in 2010, including your urban artists, was actually making EDM music then, and then even up to today, there's still kind of types of it might not be the same EDM you heard in 2010, but there's still a lot out there today.
I think another thing that define this, I think what artists that define this decade, like musically, is Drake. Drake is probably like the quintessential 2010s artist.
Drake is definitely the one right there, and if he's not considered number one, the other person could be is
I think Ariana Grande in the second part.
Maybe Ariana.
But Drake was relevant throughout this whole decade. Like
he was the whole decade.
Yeah, the whole decade.
He blew up. Like he's kind of like pretty much kind of what Eminem was in 2000s. Like they both started in late. Eminem started in '99 and Drake kind of came out in '09. They both.
I'm not sure we can then use Eminem as an example for the 2000s because he was really only relevant in the first half, and the second half he practically took a break.
I mean, he did take a break in the mid 2000s, but he came back strong in '09 with Relapse.
Well, in '09 he came back strong, but from 2005 to '08 he was nowhere to be found except for like a few songs.
Mario, I saw your thread. Your relationship with your parents, how well you get along with your parents. Is that what you were talking about in the last stream?
I mean, we kind of mentioned it with Jacqueline, like, because Jacqueline felt like Gen Z is kind of felt. I felt like Gen Z is kind of the most disconnected generation from their
I don't agree
parents.
with that.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend who's like not very close with her parents, but then again, they're divorced.
Yeah.
Well, like in my opinion, I guess that I feel like they're kind of getting closer together because like, if we were to roughly say on average that Gen Z's parents are probably Gen X, that
most likely.
Gen X, they'll be like these are people that maybe grew up 80s, maybe 90s, that they probably are into technology. They may even play video games. They probably
that's what
stuff like that. That's like I have a cousin. she's like 40, and her oldest kid's like 13, and she just had another baby. And she's always on Facebook. She is always taking pictures like on Snapchat of that baby and putting filters on it. And I'm like, I think the 13-year-old isn't even like that different from her, honestly, because they're like they're into similar things.
Yeah.
I feel like
I remember the other day my mom and her friend were trying to work Snapchat.
Oh man.
Dang.
Taking
Oh
selfies
god.
with filters.
The fact that
I got
parents are
that-
using
I-
Snapchat.
I
You
got
guys
that
could be saying the same about Snapchat 5 years from now.
I got that. I have that same thing too because my sister and my niece, oh man, they use all kind of social media. They're like always like taking pictures, that kind of stuff. Oh man, it's like they have like a good relationship with each other and that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like a
but
lot of these parents, I mean, I would say even as far back as probably Jen Jones' parents, because I know some people that are like my parents' age that are still into this kind of stuff. Like my uncle, he is so into his online personality, and he's like 58 or something. And him and his daughter, they do it together. They're always like selling stuff together. I mean,
wow.
I don't know.
yeah, so I do kind of see because like look at Gen X for example. Gen X was known as being slackers, right? Just
Yeah.
slacker
Yeah.
generation. They were the
Yeah.
first generation to grow up listening to hip hop, and they were the first
Yeah.
generation. They was a generation that was told, that the world wasn't promised to them. They was kind of grew up in a pessimistic environment, just like Gen Zers now.
Mhm.
They weren't like super. Even though Gen Z grew up in a more PC environment, Gen X had Reagan, who was like very like morally had a moral. He was the kind of moral police of the '80s, like with the
Yeah.
he was kind of moral police of the '80s, Reagan, and so like they kind of understood that. I feel like Gen X kind of understand Gen Z because the fact they both grew up in pessimistic environments. They had to. They felt like education isn't really the way to success. Like even though college was a lot cheaper when Gen Xers were younger, it's still they still came of age in the recession in the early '90s. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably a big difference between Gen X and like Gen Jones. Is Gen Jones doesn't care about hip hop. They never. I mean, you might have some individuals who do, but for the most
I mean,
part,
yeah,
not pop and rap.
I have to totally agree with you on that because if you really think about them, they were by the time hip hop was like pretty much a thing, they were all either like in their
30s.
20s or beyond. Yeah, like the primary songs they would have grew up with was like either like psychedelic or 70s rock, or and if not, then they had like the R&B stuff at that time, or disco, of course, and then all the other genres
Yeah,
of that
hair
period.
metal is probably
All
a big
that. Oh yeah,
Gen
even
Jones.
hair metal as well. That was the stuff they would have all like grew up. Or
I mean,
even,
hair
like,
metal.
listened
I
to
mean,
it
even though
multiple
hair
times.
metal is more like Gen X. I mean, I know a lot of Gen boomers like Gen Jones boomers who enjoy hair metal as well.
I would
So
say a
that's
lot
probably.
of. Sorry. I think a lot of the musicians who are like hair metal musicians are Gen Jones.
Yeah, I'd say the musicians are more likely to be Gen Joes or even well, basically Generation Joes if you're considering it to be like I consider it to be 1955 to 63, but
And
I'd
pretty
say,
much
but I consider the audience to be more Gen X.
Yeah,
Like
true.
the musicians would be more Gen Jones, but the audience would be more Gen X.
Yeah,
True.
like so like my mom was born like at the end of like 62. So she tends like my dad was born in the 50s. So she's like a lot more kind of open to like the MTV stuff than even just my dad born in the 50s.
Oh yeah, true. Your dad's like a quintessential baby boomer. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas like my mom she was I mean they were together like when she was my age, but she was kind of, just more open to, the MTV and that stuff where he's more like prefers 70s music, and like she does too, but she's a little
More open to
a little
80s
more
stuff.
closer to Gen X, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. But the same with Infinity's parents, Jacqueline's parents, because like her parents are like Gen Jones, but like she said her dad's more Gen X than her mom, because her dad was born in
That's
'63.
interesting.
Yeah. So I feel like like what I was saying with Gen Z and Gen X. I feel like Gen X can understand Gen Z because Gen X like to be like Gen X felt like nothing. Just don't like to be told what to like and what to do. They like to create their own. Like they're very independent. Like Gen Z is like very independent. Like just look up Musically, for example, with Gen Z. That app is quintessential Gen Z. Like that app is like run by Gen Zers, basically. It's for them by them. Like they create their own entertainment, basically. Like Gen X created hip hop. You know, hip hop started by Gen Jones, Gen Baby Boomers, Gen Jones ish. The only side that was impacted by hip hop was Gen X. Like anybody born out of 65 was pretty much, and especially if you're a black person born out of 65, 66, you were definitely into hip hop some way, to form. With Gen Z,
did you say Musically was by Gen Z for Gen Z?
Yes, that's what he said, and that is now called TikTok.
Oh
yeah.
Well, is the
Wait,
manager? Yeah, is the manager Gen Z of that company?
I don't think he's Gen Z, but like I heard the creator of that it's kind of complicated because TikTok was a different company. They just bought it Musically, but I'm not really sure. But I think the person who owned the original owner of Musically was Gen Z. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because if he's not, then I'd say Musically would be more the Gen Z equivalent to what MySpace was for the millennials.
Well, Facebook. MySpace. Person who made MySpace, was he late Gen X? I don't remember.
Who?
What's the time of MySpace? Like late Gen X, like late
It's both.
I think it was actually a core Gen X, but what I was saying is if the manager of a Musically is not Gen Z, that I think it would be it.
Oh,
yeah.
But Musically is probably the closest thing to like a pure Gen Z app. I mean, because Snapchat,
I
Instagram,
don't get Musically whatsoever. So
Yeah, me
yeah.
either.
If you're born in 2000s, you probably understand a bit better. But even early 2000s borns feel like
Still
it's
don't get
cringy.
it. It's for people born in like 2004, maybe. I
Like
don't know.
somebody born like mid to late 2000s.
Yeah, she's right. She's right. It's more for people like my niece because she was the one because she actually had used Musically then, but I'm not sure if she even uses it now or so because I'm not sure she even realizes the name actually changed.
Another example of Gen Z when it comes to like entertainment, like they like to create their own entertainment, is trap music. Like today's rappers are mostly Gen Z. Today's rappers like Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi, Lil Yachty,
X before he died, 6ix9ine, Post Malone.
Most of them are born after 1995. Most of these rappers out now are born after 1995.
I do
So that's
know
another
a kid who's really into Musically that I graduated with. That they call him. It's like the Transition King or something. So I looked it up and I'm like watching it, and I don't know. He does a good job editing them, honestly. But me watching it, I'm like, what is the point of doing this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
By the way, 10 more minutes. Yeah, 10 more minutes for this stream, but let's see, what was I thinking about with the Musically? I brought up in the previous stream how if we were to split up the millennials into three groups, they'd be the AOL cohort, the MySpace cohort, and the Facebook cohort.
I'm Facebook. Definitely Facebook.
Oh yeah, you're like the millennial generation, practically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like kind of in between a lot of this stuff, honestly. Because like a lot of the pure like millennial stuff, I don't really. I feel a little bit young for, but then stuff like Musically, I'm like, what is this? Like, I feel like a grandpa, honestly.
I mean, most even Gen Zers don't even, like. I know 2000s borns who don't even like Musically, so you're not alone in that. Like, they're Gen Zers who don't like Musically.
Yeah,
I mean, for me,
it's a polarizing app.
For me, I'm kind of the same way. I think for us mid-90s borns, we're kind of in that,
between, definitely.
Yeah, us mid-90s borns, because like for me, like even though I have a Musically account because some freshmen get it.
Yeah,
but,
it
like,
happened.
Yeah, even though I have one now, but when I first heard of it, because my nephew was using it, I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
back in my day, what everyone used to do was they would, back in like 2010 when we were 15, would just lip sync themselves really stupidly
on IMT
Pain. Put it on Facebook. That's all. You didn't need an app for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess because of Vine, let's get the popularity of Vine to kind of make Musically.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
'Cause
Vine.
Vine, that kind of
Vine. My friend that was on here yesterday, he was definitely in love with that app because he was always using it. And then when I told him the news that it died and it was no longer in service, he pretty much felt sad after that.
Yeah,
It has a legacy though, honestly. Like if you go on Instagram, there's like accounts for random topics and vines, and people
Yeah.
still use it.
Yeah, I know a lot of the memes sprung from a Vine. Like the only one I know I could think of right now is the John Cena meme. But
oh god.
but was that on Vine? Or actually, this was probably on 4chan or another site where the Shrek is love, Shrek is life meme spawned.
Yeah.
The legacy of Vine is a very interesting thing. Like I really thought it would have just like once the app stopped, it would have been dead, but nope.
Yeah. People are still talking about it to this day,
Yeah.
even though it died 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was
What, Vine?
going on 3 years ago, I think.
Well, they're still talking about Vine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I said, my friend still talks about it, even though it's been gone. Like he even misses it. Like he even misses it.
I only really get Vine if like something is like in very specific context, but for the most part, like I might have liked it when I was like 10 or something, but I don't really get it.
Yeah, me
another thing
either.
that makes
I didn't really watch Vine like that when it came out.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to Vine. You know, I wasn't really using social media much when Vine was hot. You know, I really started. You know, but like I think what makes our age group unique, us who were born like in the mid to late 90s, is that we were old enough to remember a time before like smartphones and social media were around, but we're young enough to we embraced it, being like be a part of it. Yeah, we kind of like we're kind of like in between.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but like I mean, so yeah, but like it's interesting to see where Gen Z or where people the generation like span of millennial Gen Z like how there's so much overlap. Because even people born in the early 2000s identify millennials like Tim. Dr. Mario.
There's a lot of that but a lot of that overlap comes from like technological stuff but that's what people when it comes to like when people talk about that, it's always like technology. It's not really anything else. Sometimes political stuff, yeah, but mainly it's mainly technology, and that's really about it. And that's why all the generational talk between those three is like so muddy because that's all it's being mentioned is technology.
Yeah.
While forgetting the fact that it's actually just one aspect, and there's like so many other components of the generation that's not mentioned. Yeah, music. I mean, when it comes to music, I mean, among millennials and Generation Z, their taste in music is actually different. If you really want to know,
because like I mentioned earlier, like Gen Z like to create their own entertainment. Like most of the rappers who are popular now are Gen Zers themselves, like Yo Yachty, 6ix9ine, Savage. I think he's Gen Z.
But I think a lot of that also goes back to stuff like, say like Justin Bieber was discovered in like 2009 or whatever on YouTube, and I think now it's been a solid 10 years that we have gotten used to finding people on social media that it becomes kind of second nature after a while about making their own entertainment.
Yeah,
I know.
Justin Bieber. Oh wow, aren't you and Justin Bieber born the same month? Aren't you guys born the same month?
He's like 6 months older than me or something.
Oh wow, he had a high pitched voice up until like his late teens.
I know.
Yeah. He did.
I remember when he came out because I was like I was a sophomore in high school, and like we could not get over someone like me and my friends that like he was older than us.
I'm 2 years younger than him. I'm like he hasn't hit puberty yet, and he sounds like he's like 12, but he's like 15. I was like, dang.
Yeah, he looks so young too.
Yeah.
Now I know. Now he kind of he half looks young, half looks like a 30-year-old drug dealer.
Yeah. I think the drugs. He looks more like Jake.
Been kind.
Yeah. Well, another main difference in terms of music taste is that Gen Z seems to be the first generation that's been growing up when rock music is not a mainstream genre.
Yeah, because a lot of millennials, including the younger ones, they actually did grow up with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, rock music for sure. Like for. Yeah, because I remember when emo was big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was more like kind of the pop punk and Green Day,
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah, as
but
well as
we
the
weren't, like,
post-grunge, too.
teenagers. We were like,
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I remember hearing people like seeing people like listen to, as well as all like the ringtone rap and all that kind of stuff. I would do, and then all this the stuff, the hip hop and all the other rock that came out, as well as like Lady Gaga and the Katy Perry. I would do remember hearing all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, the late 2000s. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Another thing that Gen Z, as far as they are the first generation to they are the first generation to not care about the Billboard top one.
yeah.
Not really.
yeah, I can see that.
And then we can even look at the differences in movies among about what it's about them, like regarding millennials. It was practically nothing but like comedy stuff, like all funny. And then when the Generation Z, it's like all dystopian stuff.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I would say like in the 2000s and even the 90s, you had way more just kind of like these kind of like dumb comedy movies. I mean, and I say dumb lightly because I like a lot of them, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
not
like
really
American
that.
Pie.
Yeah,
I feel
American
like Step
Pie.
Brothers is probably one of the last, like one of those movies that was really prominent.
I would say Ted. I say Ted was probably the last one
Oh
I can
yeah,
think of.
Ted.
Yeah,
And Ted came
true.
out in the early 10s.
Yeah, I think the early 10s kind of ended that streak because like you had Hangover 2 in the early 10s. You had
Yeah.
Did someone
I
bring up
thought the early,
Sausage Party already?
oh no, we did not say that. Thank you, Captain. I forgot about the movie. That came out like 2 years ago, and that movie was controversial because it was the
Which
first
movie?
animated.
Sausage Party.
Oh
Yeah, that
yeah.
movie, it wasn't as big as I think it was played up to be.
You know
Yeah,
what?
it was the first
I actually had forgot
R-rated
about that
animated.
movie. I forgot about that movie all this time until my friend was telling me about it, and he was telling me, like, "Hey, you want to watch Sausage Party?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go for it." And we did end up watching it, and it was like so funny. But oh man, like they were
Ooh,
like, of course,
Jeezy.
it was like, but because it was R-rated, of course, they were saying all the bad words, and they were kind of making like sex jokes. It was just, oh my goodness, but it was so funny though.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of weird for an R-rated anime movie because I'm like, dang, that's weird. It was kind of weird.
Well, did any of you watch South Park?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used
Oh yeah,
to,
was
but
you
not.
say that's
I used
millennial?
to, not anymore.
Would
Yeah,
you say
because
the Sharp Boss embodies the millennial generation? That show.
this season was really kind of, well, it was funny in like a like a like a ha-ha, but like a comical way, that at the end of every episode they did hashtag cancel South Park. So it was like 10 episodes they were on this. I think it was a fake campaign to cancel South Park. So then the last episode just aired a couple weeks ago after the season, and they did this little montage at the end where they were like, I don't get it. Everything else is getting canceled and we can't get canceled. Like they did a bunch of like old, like really gross, ridiculous things. And they were like, how ridiculous can we get? Like we can't get canceled. And they did even something like that a couple years ago where they were like, how much can we lower the bar? Like did anyone see the episode with like Honey Boo Boo in it?
No,
Oh no.
I haven't seen South Park in like, I think over like 5 years, I believe.
Yeah, that one's probably from like 5 years ago. But anyway, though, I find it kind of interesting how they've been kind of, I don't know, like self-aware about how 20 years ago or so when the show started, that
Yeah, the show
all
came out in
everyone did,
'97.
Oh
yeah,
my,
all
I
everyone
know.
did
Like
was
I can't believe that. I can't believe that show is like 2 decades old now.
yeah, that everyone
Simpsons is
would
almost 3 decades old.
I know. Oh my, and yeah, it's just it's quite amazing. Like, but Simpsons is actually about to end soon, I think, because they're finally getting there. But South Park and Pokemon, no, they're still going.
Yeah, and Sesame
Yeah.
Street's almost 50.
Oh yeah,
dang.
Sesame Street. Oh my goodness, I forgot that was still on. Oh,
Oh
and
yeah.
isn't Arthur still on too?
Yeah.
I think
It
that
is.
I
It's not
think
as
that show
good
got
as it
canceled.
used to be, though.
I heard that show. I thought it got canceled. I thought it ended like 2 years ago. Oh well, it's still on.
I think